gentlemen, welcome back to the Pullze Check podcast. Today, we got a very special one, man. Look, we're about to start something crazy. I will explain right now, but before I do, listen, we got the boys with us. J God, Ebatez, Shifty. How we doing, boys? Talk to me.
It's goody.
We're vibing. What's up, Pullze Check?
listen. Okay, here is the deal. This is a different podcast, but this is the start of something that I think is going to be very, very fun and you know, a good thing for everybody. So what we're pretty much going to do today is we're making the first ever Pullze Check Power Rankings, right? So what that means is we're going to have about 5 different people and we're going to go over a list of all the competitors. It might not be everybody. We will add to this. This is just the start, but we're going to be ranking each individual players, not as a team, from a scale from 1 to 100, or overall rating from 0 to 100. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing power rankings, and we're going to update that after every tournament and determine how people go up, people go down. But we have a couple rules in play, you know, but overall, that's what we're going to be doing today. Boys, what do y'all think about this? How y'all feeling? I know we're probably going to offend some people and people are going to get hurt, but talk to me. What y'all thinking?
You know, there's probably a lot of people in the chat. Their favorite streamer is, you know, not going to be at the top of the list, but hey, it is what it is. You know, we're here to give honest feedback. We're all come from different, you know, whatever spectrums. So I'm excited to give some feedback and kind of see where we all line up as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, look. So go ahead, Shifty. Go ahead. You're saying.
I can't wait to actually be able to put numbers to people. No, not even in a bad way though, because I feel like we've been trying to do this since like like the tier lists and all like the A's and S's and like. I think a number system with other people's opinions is gonna like actually even it out instead of people like opinions on S tier and A tier.
Yeah. So this is kind of like the what like the rules are, right? We have the list right now, but in order for the list to be like quote unquote for you to be ranked, there needs to be at least 5 people, respectable people as well, who contribute to this list, and 5 people who rank you. So it's not just my opinion, just J God's, just Shifty's. It's a combination of 5 different people going over what their opinion is on your skill level, right? And then from there we average out the totals, and then that is your ranking as a player, right? And then eventually, obviously, we'll this is not the final thing, but I'll show you guys really quick. The goal is to make some of these. For those of you who can't see, the goal is to make some player cards eventually. Right now, we'll be going over just the overall skill. We're not going to go over gun skill, movement, game IQ. That will be like, you know, within the next coming, you know. And again, I didn't make this. This is a template. All right. DS Biff was not 99. I just want to throw it out there. All right. I didn't make that. So don't come at me saying glaze.
Wow,
you know
the glazing is crazy.
Yeah, no. I didn't. Hey, that was JD. He made it.
We did it, bro. Like, we did it. You guys have been boys for a while. We did it, man.
Shoot. Nah, look. So, okay. Here, I'm going to go ahead and say this. And I know everybody's going to... Let's all talk about this really quick. What we're about to go over, and I feel like Shifty, Ebatez, J God, you guys all know this. This is not a popularity contest. All right, a lot of people and. All right, don't get offended. That's the people are gonna get offended. But listen, you're like, there are certain players, and I'm sorry if this offends people. There are certain players out there that have pretty much. People in the community think, as far as the viewers, think that they're better than they actually are. But then when it comes down...
Come on, man, just say it.
But when it comes down to actually competing, they really are not that great. So,
or the other part that happens is maybe they were competing at a higher level in the previous, like Warzone 1, but this COD, it's taken a step back. Either they've lost a step because they got older, or younger people have kind of come in, which always happens. You only realize this when you're older.
Yeah.
They're like, oh shit, you know, it is how it is.
So look, like I just want everybody to know here in the chat that like your favorite streamer will probably not have a high ranking, and it is what it is. This is people who actually have competed and have a lot of knowledge. Obviously, Ebatez has been competing for the last I don't even know Ebatez, and been very successful. Shifty, I don't know if Shifty really needs, I hope nobody disagrees with Shifty. This man was #1 in the fucking the World Series of Warzone when it mattered. World Series of Warzone, he won and top fragged. J God obviously, J God quite literally has been like the godfather of metas and everything for the longest time. And then Diaz from here, I'll show you guys the list real quick. Diaz Biffle obviously gave a rating. He didn't want to be on the podcast today, which I understand, but he gave his ratings. Obviously, he won as well. And then myself, I've competed in 2 World Series of Warzones, and I got in second in both of them. So we all are knowledgeable in the subject, and so whether people disagree with us or not, that's totally okay, but this is our opinions, and just want to throw that out there because I know we're gonna have some people offended, like, oh, why isn't this streamer, how is this streamer bigger than this guy? How, like, again, like, we're just going off of what we've seen and us competing with the best of them for a long time. So without further ado, boys, let's get it popping. Boys, before we start, is there anything y'all want to kind of say, or y'all want to anything?
I want to reiterate that this is Warzone 2. This was this year, Modern Warfare 2. Again, if they were amazing, #1 in Verdansk, whatever, it does not matter. This is only about Warzone 2 this past year. So I just want to make that very, very clear. Don't be
everything,
like,
right? 2v2s, custom.
Yeah, everything.
Okay.
Don't be like, well, like, remember that, like, Twitch Rivals, like, back in Caldera, like, he was cooking.
Yeah, you still hold on to that.
I'm still holding on to that. All right, like if we're talking about, you know, Twitch Rivals, like, you can put me at the top, but no, I'm just playing. But
yeah, so specifically Warzone 2, I will say, like, even me, like, I will adjust certain rankings as well. Like, I did my list, but this was very, like, we were doing it while we were playing games. Now that we can actually sit down and discuss things, Diaz will be leaving his rankings. I will probably be adjusting a couple of mine. And, you know, I will say this. Somebody said in the chat, and I agree, there probably will never be level 99 ever. So I don't think, even right now, the highest is 95.
There could be, but realistically, that person can't exist.
Yes.
I mean, they would have to literally win any tournament with random teammates.
And
you know what I mean?
Literally, like top frag every game. Like, it's going to be impossible.
In every format, no, there's just no way.
Pace setter is a 99.
Yeah.
There's no way. Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
So let's go over this, boys. We have the list here. I'm going to bring it up and you guys all have it individually. Do you guys want to go through this and from bottom to top of the list, or would you guys like to go from top to bottom? Bottom to top or top to bottom? What do you guys want?
I'd rather start with the lower skill players and then work up. Okay.
I'm down for that. And again, one rule though, if you are on the list, for example, Ebatez, Shifty, you're not allowed to judge yourself. Okay? That's one rule.
Heard you.
All right, so let's go ahead and bring it up, boys. We'll start from bottom to top. And again, there are people in here. I completely understand. There are people in here that are not, what's it called? We will add them later, and as people, whatever, stop playing, compete more, they will be added. All right. So first and foremost, boys, I hope, again, please, nobody get offended. So at the bottom right now, based off of, so this is Diaz's rating right here, and this is my rating right here, and then this is the overall ratings right here to the right. All right, so this is the overall, combining mine and Diaz's. Again, at the end of this, we'll have an overall like list of it all. So, all right, WAG, boys, I guess we'll go. You want to go one by one? J God, I think it's J God, Shifty, Ebatez, yeah. So J God, talk to me, man. What are you thinking about WAG based off his performance and Warzone 2? What would you rate him on a scale from 0 to 100?
I would probably say around a 70.
Okay.
I think he's clearly a good player. I did rewatch a lot of different VODs of different players from World Series of Warzone. And I mean, they had a terrible day. I mean, they ran into players that are top 10 players, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think that's just kind of rough run at it. And it's really hard to regain, like, especially in that lobby. So they were kind of chalked. So I think their performance was terrible. But, like, somebody's got to play terribly that day.
Yeah.
It's just how it is.
Yeah.
Someone's got to lose.
Yep. So I think around 70 is probably fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's okay. Now, Shifty, talk to me, man. What do you think? If you give, and again, guys, hope nobody gets offended. These are just honest thoughts. Again, this is a combination of 5 different people's opinions, not just one. So, Shifty, thoughts. I know I didn't spell this. I didn't spell it.
Man, what's a C in high school? What is that? That's
70,
75?
70.
Okay, I'm
70
around
to
there.
79. 80 goes to a B.
I'd get like 74.
74. Okay.
Yeah, and my reason with that is I don't think WAG is bad. I think like the meta is favor him, like the sniper meta, the signal. Like they did really good in the stages. I thought they placed like top 10, and like that's a hard thing.
Stage 2. They got 5th in stage 2.
That's insane. I mean, I got 11th, or like so he did better than me. I think he's a slow player, but I don't think he needs more to win. I don't know if he needs better teammates around him, or he himself needs to get with the times a little bit, because the sniper meta, it's just, having a sniper in your hand isn't going to win you a tournament. Yeah. So I think like he's good, but just in every aspect, the gunny, the IQ, I don't think he's like above many. Okay. So like an average player. He's a good player though.
Okay. One thing I will add though too, talking about the sniper meta thing, watching back different POVs, there's teams that would have performed better if they just stuck to what they had practiced with up until that point, instead of switching to a triple signal. There's so many teams, like that's cool when you're on, but if you miss, that's like a gunfight you would have had with just a regular reg gun. Like you just would have happened.
Which is what Shifty and them did. They were technically on the, like they only had one person, right? Shifty, one of y'all was sniping? Yeah. Damn. Okay.
So that's another point to add in that.
Using a sniper and missing is just like you're not even using a gun at that point. So it's like it'll help you. Exactly. It'll help you get a couple kills, but like if you aren't like dead shot with it, then you're kind of gonna be useless on the map.
And it's like you're rolling the dice too, because you can show up one day and it's like you're hitting.
Yeah.
And then like the next.
Exactly how the snipers work.
Okay. All right. Now, Ebatez, talk to me, man. What you think about WAG?
All right, so I know it's pretty easy to like clown them because they got dead last at World Series, but I will say that it is not fair, and you'll probably hear me repeat this a lot today. It's not fair to judge people off of one tournament, and even if they do bad, it's also not fair to judge people off of one good tournament. So, I mean, dead last is pretty crazy. Like, it's actually insane. Like, to show up and get dead last is insane. So I'm gonna sit around, probably like the 70, 71 range. But
so what would you, 70 or 71? You tell me, Dad.
I'd say 71.
Anyone? All right, bet.
Because I think he himself, I guess, played pretty well. And I even watched like a little bit of their VODs, a little bit even after their 5th place. They were a good team, but like JGod was saying, if they weren't all on the same page firing, like they weren't just cooking, I mean, you could just tell that they just kind of crumbled.
One thing that did cost him in the World Series of Warzone is I think he lost like 4 out of the 6 gulags, which that's like, obviously you're going against the best players in the world, literally. But like losing 4 out of 6 gulags, then your team's got to worry about getting cash. They got to hit a buy where now another one goes down. It just ends up in a spiral. And I think that's what contributed to that part as well.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Let's move on to Symphony. So again, we did include people in here as well that didn't qualify. So there's a lot of people in here. And again, people will be added to this. So if there's certain people in here that you guys don't agree with or you guys don't like, then like, remember, we will add them. So again, I probably will not be changing my thing for Symphony, for WAG, sorry. So I'm going to go on to the next one. And so that's JGod. Talk to me on Symphony.
I don't know. I mean, like he obviously, a part of him getting involved in it was that he got invited. So he got invited slot. I don't know if he would have necessarily made it a run at it or taken it seriously if he wasn't like being invited. So I don't know. It's really hard to see the potential of Symphony. I know he grinds a lot of ranked with different people for like leaderboard rankings. He's a keyboard and mouse player, which is that putting him at disadvantage. I don't know. I'd probably say like a 70 as well. Like obviously he didn't even make it to the main event. And they didn't perform particularly well on any one of the stages. So yeah, I would say probably around a 70. Okay, 70. Okay, so I'll put that. JGod, put him at 70. Boom. All right, Shifty, talk to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna be right at 70. I just don't think he has enough experience for me to like really have anything to like, I guess, critique him on. Like he literally doesn't play Warzone from my knowledge, at least like competitively like that. So I mean, I played ranked with him too a lot. He just doesn't have enough experience in the game to that would have really helped him like in those end games or rotations, like that stuff that we were talking about playing ranked, and you could just tell he's just new to it. So I don't think he was really able to do much in that World Series because of that, his inexperience.
Okay, perfect. All right, so then 70 is a good rating for you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And Ebatez, talk to me.
I'm gonna put him at like a 65.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because he doesn't really play tournaments, first of all, and when he did, he didn't do anything. So I feel like it's not even fair to even put him close to somebody like Wag who had some success this year.
Yeah.
So I'm putting him at a 65.
Okay, I agree. I agree to that statement. I guess then for mine, I mean, I am going to change mine. I think I'm gonna put him just at 70 exactly. So I'll leave it at that. Now let's move on to Slacked. So again, these guys like were obviously three individual players. Them all three played together. They didn't perform too well. So what do y'all think, Jay, got of Slacked?
I said a 73.
73
on mine. Yeah, I think he's a better player than maybe Symphony, but I think that team chemistry, it was just not going to work out for the formula to qualify. In other tournaments, they really kind of stay in their own lane and they don't really compete too often, but they're former professional players too. So
yeah, it makes sense. Okay, I'll leave it there. And Shifty, talk to me.
I think 75 for me. I do not think that Apathy Slacked, at least in 2v2s, like they're actually pretty good. They were a solid duo. I think I competed against them a couple of times in some of the E-Fuses, and they're pretty solid. Like they're kind of the dark horse of the tournaments, and they definitely knew like how to play. They're very fundamentally good at COD, and they definitely were a sleeper pick in a lot of tournaments. But I think they were pretty good. But I just don't know if they had enough reps in bigger 2v2s that really like could set them apart. And in customs, I didn't see them do too much. Yeah. But I do think they're like a good shout. So I'd say 75 in that range.
I mean, I think going forward, right? Like if Warzone does become this, hopefully we get to the point where, we have something like the ALGS where it becomes a whole league, right? I do think Slacked and Apathy can compete at that high level, right? Like, and again, no feelings are hurt here. But I definitely think they would probably need a new third, at least in this game right now. Like, that doesn't mean Symphony is horrible. I just think that keyboard and mouse, I mean, you'll see there's probably only one keyboard and mouse player that I consider like at the top, which we'll see right now. But it just keyboard and mouse on a game with such crazy aim assist just puts you at a huge disadvantage. So I think if they pick up a new third, if aim assist stays this broken, they could find a little bit more success. So, my opinion. Ebatez, talk to me.
So to add on, that's a really good point. To add on to what you're saying, like those two guys, in my opinion, again, playing with Symphony doesn't really fit their style. Like they need like a dog, like somebody who's young, because those guys have a lot of experience. And if they picked up somebody like a third who just kind of didn't really think at all and just played the game, like I like to think of people that just like, I like somebody for me, I like teammates that don't think at all because I could tell them what to do. So somebody like Slack and Apathy, if they picked up somebody who like was kind of up and coming or something, maybe a young shooter, tell them what to do, teach them that like leadership and stuff, like that's someone they would succeed with. And I would probably, for a rating for Apathy, I'd probably put it like a 73. I actually think he had some success early Warzone 2 and 2v2s, I'm pretty sure. Him and Slacked, they were cooking up. So.
They were doing pretty good at the start, right?
Yeah.
It is a little bit different once we start to see like people play in customs as opposed to regular, but like still like dogs. And I want everybody to remember that we're talking about the best of the best. Like every single one of these has at least like a 4 KD plus, right? In this list, right? Like just want to throw it out there, but we are talking about the best of the best, and things do get a little, but I think for me, I'm gonna leave my for Slacked, I'm gonna leave mine the same. So now going into Apathy, what do y'all think? What do you think, J-God, for Apathy?
I have the same. I think even though they're different players, I kind of see them as the same player in terms of skill level, rating, what they bring to the table, both being former pros. So mine's right around the same spot.
Okay, 73. Okay, all right, Shifty.
I'm gonna stick with 75. I've only really seen Slacked with Apathy, and I do think that they're pretty much equal when it comes down to their skill and their experience, because they've both been in the league. They had a lot of success there, and with Warzone, they've stuck as a duo. I want to say since they started playing Warzone, they've been together. At least from what I've seen, I think that they're both really good. But I don't think either or shines over each other. So I'll stay with 75.
Okay, cool. And Ebatez.
I actually like not disagree completely with that, but I do think that Apathy has got a little bit of a better IQ to the game. I feel like I've seen him pop off a little bit more than Slacked. I think Slacked is a good role player for him, but I think Apathy, I have seen him like have his shining moments. So I'll put him at like a 75, I think.
75? Okay, 75. All right, bet. Perfect. Now let's go to Nick Cool. So again, this is same team. It was Wag, Picnic, and Nicole, right? That was the trio for the World Series of Warzone. Got last. J-God, talk to me.
Yeah, I think if I remember, I felt like these guys were a duo, right? They used to do a lot of 2v2s.
Nick and Nicole,
Is
yeah.
that what I remember?
Yeah,
They would actually do like really well. I think they've even won
Verdansk.
multiple tournaments, Verdansk, but recently I don't think there's been as many tournaments with that format. They'd obviously qualified with WAG. I think they're slightly better than WAG, so I'd probably put that at like maybe a 75 for Nick Cool.
Okay.
And I put it 75 for both, but yeah.
Both? Okay. I mean,
Yeah,
I'll just
think
put it there now.
They're
Why not?
about even, yeah.
Okay. And all right, I guess we could do it like that if y'all want. If you guys, for let's say there's people right next to each other, if there's anybody that you guys like, yo, these guys are relatively the same, like just let me know and I'll add it. Shifty for Nicole.
I want to say he didn't play as much this year. At least from what I've seen, I played a lot of the twos in the early start because I know they were a duo, Pick and Nick, but don't think they played any of the Twitter tourneys. And if they did, then they didn't do too well. So I would have to give them, both of them, like 74. Just because I didn't see them do much this year in terms of competing. Yep. And when they did play, like they're a good duo, but when you literally don't play like a majority of like the 2v2 tournaments, then I don't know how good you were in this map, which kind of makes me think that they weren't, that was a choice that they didn't want to play on purpose. And in customs, they're always pretty solid, but just I don't think this was the same Nicole this year as like Caldera. Like Caldera and Nicole was really good. Verdansk, that duo was very good. I played them a lot in the early Warzones, and this year they just didn't really do as much as they did before. So I give them both the same rating as a 74.
74? Okay. All right. Now, Ebatez, talk to me.
So something I've noticed, like playing with the same people over like a span of time, is that like I feel like they got these two, especially I'll just put them together, but I feel like they got too comfortable with each other where they started like bickering a lot more. And I know like Pick is like a very, very good player, and so is Nicole. They're both very smart players. So I did notice like a huge decline in their performance this year in tournaments, obviously. I do think Pick is a little bit more of a stronger player. I'm going to put him at like a 74, and I'll have Nicole at like a 72.
So Nicole 72.
Yeah,
and
then
then
Pick at like a 74.
Okay. All right.
I would like to see Pick split from Nicole. I know it sounds bad, and whatever, if any of his viewers are like, no, like they're a great duo, like I would like to see Pick and Nick both kind of like find new teammates or at least try something new.
Yeah.
I do think they're very good players and they're both good leaders, but the fact that they do it together, it like kind of clashes sometimes.
Okay, I can respect that. I mean, at the end of the day, like it is about who you're comfortable with. But if you guys have been together for 3 years and haven't found as much success as you would like, then I can understand why you would split, right? So let's get into the next one. Isaac, J-God, Iceman Isaac, competed with.
I want to say it right around a 75.
Yeah,
I think part of that has to do with like, I think towards the end of Caldera, I think he was like locked in terms of focused up, and I think at the beginning of Warzone he wanted to be, but I don't think he ever found like a real duo or a trio that he could really like vibe with. So he just didn't get opportunities to really like improve at that aspect of the game. So I think potentially he could be a better player, like a higher rating, but it just like it's hard when you don't have the right team. But that also is an indication that maybe like his number is lower because the right team will find you if you're good enough, So it's kind of like one of those things. So I don't know. That's kind of where I would put him, right around the same.
Okay. Yeah. I will say he did. That was a big thing of mine of why I scored him pretty low, is because like obviously he switched a lot between teammates. As an individual, I think Isaac is good. I think where what he's good at is the IQ of the game and understanding things. Obviously, if he was like quote unquote a little bit more cracked, would rank him higher, but his IQ, I think if Isaac had 2 youngings under him that were really, really good and trusted him, I think they could do really good. But again, if you have people playing with him with similar quote unquote gun skill, I don't think that's where he shines. I think he's smarter than a lot of individuals in this list, and he just needs to find players that he can just kind of guide.
Yep.
That's kind of my opinion. But Shifty, talk to me.
Isaac, I haven't seen I did play against him very recent, and he's good at leading a team, but I think he needs to find those newer players that are coming up and team with those guys and like take a chance on people, because I don't think anyone that is right now like super cemented with their roster is looking to play with someone like Isaac, because everyone's trying to go for the cracked guys or like the Sokas, like those guys that can kind of do it all. So I think Isaac, for me, just all of his performances, I would have to give him like a 73. Okay. But I think that he needs to find 2. I know he's been playing like Baba Huff, like people like that. He's been giving like the ranked. He's been playing with new players. I think he needs to find 2 new players that no one really knows and find that like underrated talent that no one knows yet. And then that will allow him to like lead and direct that team. And I think he's always a good player. He's competing. I think he's always in that top 5, top 10 that I see him when we play those tournaments. So
yeah.
I think he needs the right people around him, and that he could like make a good player pretty great. So for that though, individually, I would give him like a 73.
Okay. All right. Ebates.
It's funny, like you got. I feel like we were all like kind of saying the same thing, but I do know a tournament. There was a tournament that Isaac picked up like in Veiled for, and kind of backpacking off what Shifty said. It's like he picks up really good players for a lot of tournaments, and I think he does really well. But like he doesn't build anything because obviously in Veil's just gonna go play with whoever next can pick him up, and it's just kind of like a who can I play with type of vibe. So I would like to see Isaac play with like 2 people, build a team, more chemistry base, and I think he's a very good player. I don't really know how much he competed this year, especially after the whole like World Series drama.
Yeah.
I probably put him like 73, I'd say. Yeah. But he is a player that could easily be in like the mid-high 80s, honestly. Like, yeah. I just think this year in general was probably just like he just realized like, it's just not it.
Yeah, it was. I would say I talked to him. It was hard for him to find teammates last minute. He almost didn't even compete. So,
right.
I think if he gets really cracked individuals to play with, I think he can lead that team. He's very good IGL. So Lil J. Yo, for the record, Lil J's in here and he said, "I'm ready to get cooked." So Jay, talk to me. Do you know a little bit about Lil J?
I don't know a lot about him. I kind of just went off based off what you guys had ranked him at. So I just left it as a 76. I have not watched enough to give a fair rating.
Okay.
For Little J.
Okay. Just to let you know about Lil J. Lil J is he's like he reminds me of a Pens. He's cracked, but man's a meathead. So that's kind of that's what he reminds me of.
So you're saying he should team up with Isaac?
Yeah. No. But Lil J he's good. Like he is good. I think he's young, so once he learns and develops like certain things, like how to play certain situations, I think he could definitely shine. He's young, and it's one of those things that you just learn from competing. Shifty, talk to me.
Shit, man. I thought he was really good. Like I thought he was up there because people clown him, right? Like I feel like that's kind of the thing right now is a clown jackal. But I even gave him props. I think like we were at London. I said, "Well, you made it to London. Like you're pretty good." And then they had a really bad performance, which I was like, "Fuck." Like it's hard to rate you high. Especially I put a lot into that. I put a lot of my ranking in that London land because that was really where you saw people like in an uncomfortable situation and like what happened to them. And I would just say he's around that like 75.
Okay.
Personally, he's really good though in like the switches. I play him a lot right now in like the 2v2, so he's pretty good at that. But when I don't put much like I don't know what's the word for it, like and when it's the end of the year 2v2s versus like the start of the year.
Yeah, where everybody's passionate.
There's not much weight. There's not much weight right now. I think in these switches like. The start of the year, I don't think he was really playing. If he wasn't 2-2s, he was getting early exited. Yeah. But he's a solid player. I think he'll be better next year, though.
Yeah, for sure. With the movement and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Evates.
So I was actually super impressed that they qualified for World Series. It's not a team I thought. They did make it in that like 15th slot. So, but like I said, to make it to World Series is a huge W, my opinion. Like I feel like he wouldn't be on the list if he didn't make it there. So. But I'm going to probably go with Shifty, probably around a 75. Okay. I have watched him play some Vondel customs or Resurgence, and maybe if we get, some Resurgence tourneys next year that he'll be turning up a little bit more. But yeah, for now, I think 75 is probably a fair place.
Okay. Yeah, I think relatively, I think we all kind of are in the same thing. I won't be changing mine for his as well. And now Huskers. This is a good one. I love this man. But we got to be honest. So, J-God, talk to me.
Than you guys had I put him around an 80.
80, okay.
I think because the fact that they obviously, they kind of slipped into the World Series of Warzone. I mean, it was literally 1 kill away, but they still kind of slipped in.
Yeah.
But they did place in the prize pool with basically a team that was thrown together, like because that's all that was left. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the fact that they were able to do that, I think that's a lot of credit to him, especially being on keyboard and mouse. On top of that, I think it's really hard to rate him lower than that.
Okay.
I know he's in a situation very similar, probably Iceman Isaac in terms of like game knowledge, but he's not really used to IGLing. So, but maybe with 2 cracked out players, he could. I don't know. I feel like he still have a lot of competitive in him, even though he's a keyboard and mouse player. But it's just more like, was it going to take to move up or down? I don't know. It's kind of hard. But I think 80 is fair.
Okay, so I will add to this after going before Shifty is I've said this already, and like Huskers is disgusting. Obviously, he was one, like I would consider one of the top players back in Verdansk. Like he was insane when aim assist wasn't as broken, and it sucks that like I have to say something like that. Where if aim assist wasn't so crazy because he's keyboard and mouse, he would be better. But I will say, man, if Huskers went to controller, immediately, like I rated him a 78. I think immediately that bumps him up 10 points. And it sucks that like, I have to say that like, because he's good. His IQ is great. He's a very well all around player and he's really good at controller. Again, it might take some time for him to get used to it again. But I understand he's probably putting him being a content creator over like him competing and stuff like that. So I know a lot of people probably, he doesn't want to switch because he's known for being the keyboard and mouse guy. But I think definitely his ranking would probably go higher if he went to controller. So that's just, I'm gonna add that. But go ahead, Shifty.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I've been thinking too. Like I have Husk in my top 5, top 10 all-time Warzone players because of what he was able to do on Verdansk and Caldera. I think he's the only person to win 2 World Series. I'm not sure if that's true. Duos and the trios. Like that's hard, bro. But this year was not the year for keyboard players. There's one keyboard player that I actually rate very good. We'll get out. He's up the list now.
Most people know who that is already.
Yeah, everybody already knows who that is.
But Huskers this year, it just didn't seem like he competed in a lot of like the grinder stuff, like the Twitter tournaments, and that I think that held him back a little bit, especially this year. I just don't think keyboard players really had a fair shot. Like I spoke to Huskers and he said there's like crazy input delay on this one. Like there's just like technical difficulties pretty much going into all the mechanical stuff. And I just don't think he hit the same this year. So I would put him like a 79. He's a great player though. And I think with movement, that's the only way that keyboard players can kind of close that gap with the controller players, because on keyboard, you can do some crazy things like with the drop shotting. And if you're as good as someone like a Huskers, Breadman, those guys, you can abuse keyboard. But this year you couldn't. Like keyboard was, you're playing at a disadvantage already.
Yeah. So what would you give him? What rating would you give him?
79.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And Ebatez.
So I got Husk at, I'd say like an 82. And the reason I'm saying that is because he did pretty good in stage 1. Obviously they had their hiccups in stage 2 with Scummin and Unrational. But I think he went to a team that struggled heavy. I mean, Mutex was dropping people every single week, it felt like, for that team. And he went to that team, and I know they didn't qualify by one spot and they got the call, but the fact that they got the call and he even got to that point and I'd say they did decent on LAN. I think at 82 is fair. And I also know he did pretty good in the 100K Optic 2v2 in the beginning of the year too. I think he got like 3rd or 4th. So I just think that, more tournaments, more reps. I think you put him, 87, but I think given the sample size that we have for him, I think he's like an 82, 83, but I'll put him in at 82.
Okay. All right. And then I'll keep mine at 78. Again, I already said that man instantly switches to controller. I'm gonna be honest, like he bumps 10 points in my opinion. Instantly. He's a great player, but input's kind of holding him back. So all right, next Swag. J-God.
I put a 78.
Okay.
I think Swag's still pretty good, but I don't know if he necessarily has I've watched him compete. I don't know if he necessarily has the passion for competing the same way that it wasn't. I mean, partially the game probably contributes to that, and there's other factors, but or it could be also that he's getting older too, and he's like, oh shit, these guys are demons, you know? That you run into when you play this, where you're running into 19-year-old, 20-year-olds. So yeah, that's where I kind of put him. I think he's very good at the game. He has good knowledge, even though he broke his ankles in the World Series. Did he? No, it was in the qualifier. Never mind. But I think in general, yeah, he's good enough to know what's going on. He can be an aggressive player. He definitely needs the teammates around him, though, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And Shifty.
With Swag, I don't really look at him like a competitor because I feel like he does a lot of like content. Like that's his shit right there is the content. So when I see him that he's just doing it for fun, in my opinion, like when he does compete, I don't think he takes it as serious as like other people. But I mean, he's not bad. I mean, Evan and them, they shit on us that end game. I forgot the stage 2. Like they actually broke us down. So he's definitely good at the game. I think if he put more time into it, he'd be a lot better. But I don't think he will because of how good his content is doing. But I'd have to give him like a 75. Okay. I don't think it'd be fair to rank him any higher with what I've already ranked others. But Swag, like I see him as just a content creator that does this just for fun when he does compete, and he's not bad at all. He's a solid player.
Maybe I'll lower mine. Now you convinced me. I think I'll do 76. I'll do 76.
Okay. All right. And now Ebatez.
For the same reasons that Shifty just said, I'm gonna just say he's like a 72. And the reason I say that is because it's not that he can't compete. And he honestly, again, same thing as like an Isaac situation. He could be mid 80s, high 80s, honestly, if he wanted to. But I just don't like. He doesn't need to compete. He probably doesn't want to compete all the time. It doesn't like. And which is a good thing. That's not how you like, you know what I mean? He's got a great thing going on. Obviously, any of us would be like, yo, I want to be swag. Like, of course.
Yeah.
But given that said, like, I don't think he had a good year at all. Like, there was not a single tournament he won, not a single tournament I don't even know if he placed top 5 in. So I don't think that's fair, again, like to compare to the other people that are on the list to put him above him. So I'd say like a 73 is probably fair.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I mean, again, I've always said this. Like Chris is a very good role player. I've said this since day one. I played with Chris. I mean, that's my boy. That's like quite literally my brother, right? What Chris needs is 2 young, like straight goats. Like I'm talking again. He was practically winning everything when Diaz was there, right? Like Chris is that role player that like even me, like I can say this because I was that role player. Like when I was playing with Evan and D, like I was the one first entryman. I was the one making sure we're like not overextending. We're not pushing anything we don't need to make, things like that. Like in my opinion, Chris should pick up Pens next year. Pens and somebody else, I don't know, 2 young demons, and just be that role player. Maybe have an IGL and Pens. Like that's what I would think. So again, Chris is not a bad player. I think he just needs the better people around him. So
he's a great player.
Yeah. So Crowder,
actually, let me knock mine from first swag to 73.
73. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it. I can't rate him higher than Pick, Nicole, Apathy, those guys.
Okay.
Because like
Yeah,
what
it is
Ebatez was saying,
kinda
they did
Now that I've
place
done the
like
other one.
I think it's fair to put him there, but
I'll lower to
he did do
73.
better.
74. I'll do 74.
He did do better than.
So you want to lower it again?
Yeah, 74.
J God, the glazing's crazy. I can't lie.
Listen to me, bro.
The glazing's crazy, J God. That's
You know what it is? Now that I'm
the
looking
only
at the
thing
rest of
Swag
the list
competed
too.
in. Yeah. I just
I
looked at
started
I
from
think
the top when I actually went through. So I already
yeah.
have my default numbers. I went from the top down to the bottom. So now that I'm looking from the bottom up, it's like, oh yeah, technically that's better than him.
because Swag only competed in a World Series, right?
Yeah, literally. Like,
Basically.
So
Basically, yeah.
It's hard to give you a rating.
Okay. Cool. All right. So let's move on to Crowder. Jagon.
I think he really wasn't competing like that. And doesn't have a lot of experience, but I think like he got passionate for the World Series to even compete at that. They ended up winning the last one. They actually won 2 of those matches. I'd probably put him right around a 75. I think the team's good, but like it just needs more reps and more exposure to competing in Warzone.
Okay. Yeah.
But he's good. He's knowledgeable. He knows what he's doing. It's just more reps with those players.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Shifty.
I'm definitely gonna be around the 75. I played a lot of ranked with him leading up to the World Series, and like he's very passionate still. Like I've had like talks with him, and you could tell like, if he wanted it and he fully transitioned and like let's say played Warzone next year and grind, like he'd be really really good. I think he'd be very important to a roster. He probably wouldn't be your cracked out dropping loads of kills, but I think he could be really good as like an IGL or just like a really good support. And I don't think he's trying to do too much when he does play. And he's very like a team player. Like we played ranked and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna sit back, call out everything that he sees. And he just has a very good like when he plays, he has good input. He doesn't calm out reckless things. It's always the words you need to hear and the calls you need to hear. This is what he speaks. So I liked him as a player. I like him 25.
Again, role player. I think they kind of categorize him. Yeah. Okay. Ebatez, go ahead.
The sample size for Crowder is super low, which sucks because I agree. Like he's a very composed guy. Obviously, he has a CDL background, CDL coach. So it sucks that he doesn't have a larger sample size because I do think he'd be in the higher rankings. But 75 seems fair for where he's at. I don't know if he's going to be competing in the next game, but we'll see.
Okay. What do you rank him?
Oh, 75.
75. Okay. 75. Oh shit. Not work.
He's coaching, right? Like, so he won't.
Yeah,
again,
be able to play
won't be playing in early Warzone.
There's a lot of people in this list that this
and
is not the main
starts
priority.
early. I saw the leak. It's like December 8th or something.
Yeah.
This is a lot of this is a lot of these people in this list. We're going based off skill, right? Of what we've seen over the last year. Again, I will say this: a lot of these guys, this is secondary, Crowder, Swag, like they don't have to do this stuff. But again, we have to be fair and we have to rate them accordingly to how they performed. But again, we are going to throw it out there. A lot of these people don't don't care as much as others, right? But again, let's continue. So Smixy, J-God.
I think an 80. I think the amount of time she puts in the grind, and she's competed with different teams and done well in different tournaments. I don't know. It's really hard to put anything really lower than that. Making it to the World Series of Warzone, being the only basically lady there, I think 80 is probably a really good number. Okay. I don't know what would make the number higher. Maybe like just, I don't know. It's kind of difficult what separates her from some of the other ones. Maybe it's just reaction time or something, but she's all around good player. So it's kind of hard to go any lower than that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the chat, like in general, people are going to disagree, and that's fine. But I think what people don't take into consideration is how important it is to have a role player in every single team. And she is that role player, right? You talk to her teammates, and she's probably the most selfless player on that team. And everybody needs somebody like that to be the henchman. Same thing we said for Swag, same thing we said for Crowder. And again, I don't think they get a lot of love that they deserve. But yeah, that's just for chat, for those of y'all who don't really understand things. But again, Shifty, talk to me.
I think she's a really good player. I think she's like, everyone doesn't think she's good, but like their trio with Length and Attract, they always place really well. So like no matter what you think about them, like I forgot what we played, like a TKR, they got second, we won and they got second. They were like neck and neck with us, and it was where first and second like blew third place out. So like she plays a lot, right? She grinds. She's always in the co-eds. You always see her in finals. She always has good teammates. I think she was with Scummin. Then she was playing with Flanked and Attract, who I don't think too many people rate that high as a good player, but their trio came in and I think they did good every stage for the most part. There was even a stage where they won like 2 games, and I want to say that was stage 2. But I'd have to rate her in between like a 78 to 81, so like maybe like a 79, 79.5 maybe. I don't know what Jake was saying, what puts her above, but I think she's like a really respectable player in terms of she grinds the game 8 hours, and when it's like the co-ed era, she's in every single tournament, making it very far. And then in customs, I want to say she's the only female this year that was in every Twitter tournament, every Twitter custom, and placing top 5, no matter the tournament. We had some all EU host tournaments like split, and she was always with her trio, they're always up there. So I tipped that. And then they played pretty well at Atlanta, I want to say. So definitely in that 79.5, 80 area.
Okay, cool. And now my boy Ebatez.
Yeah, I think 79, 80. I'll put her at an 80. I think that she had a few tournaments where they weren't co-eds or nothing. I think she got like in like a 10K EVU, she got like 3rd, and she's had pretty good placings. And again, like kind of like Shifty was saying, she poured her heart into Warzone competing this year. So, which was awesome to see. And she did really, really well. And I think that it showed. So I'm excited to see like kind of how she grows off of that, because I do think that she gained a lot of confidence this year. Which is super exciting. But yeah, I think an 80 is definitely fair.
Okay. Well, one thing I'll point out too is because I've seen in the chat, they're like, well, how is that person close to this person? Because like obviously I gave her the same score as Huskers. But the reality is different intangibles, like for them, or even things that are tangible, whether it's movement, gun skill, their rotations, their in-game lead, their selflessness. How do they play as a player? Because there's people that are super talented, but they're selfish players, and they're not good team players, and they cannot find a team no matter how talented they are as an individual. So there's a lot of variables that go into it, and there's some people that you will enjoy playing with, and there's some people that will play with a player that is objectively worse because they're a better play like teammate, so there's a lot of variables that I think go into it, and it's not just we're simplifying it to one number, but there are a lot of variables that are going into this number that for the lack of time, whether we be here for 6 hours, is that just a simplified number. And
also to add on to what you're saying, so if you're comparing them to like Huskers, people in the chat are saying Huskers, she didn't have to go to last chance qualifier, she qualified through stage 2. So how are you going to value Husk over her? And she's placing in EFUS tourneys, not co-eds, by the way. And she's also qualifying in stage 2 and not in LCQ. So
again, I saw somebody, Buna in particular in chat.
She's haters being haters, but
it's fine. It's okay. But I want to reiterate why. And again, I get it if you're quote unquote casuals and you don't understand this thing, but I would much rather take a selfless player that understands their role than to somebody to play like an idiot and cost us the whole tournament. Like people just, that's one of those things that you will never understand until you actually play in these tournaments against these players. Again, you need that type of player, and surprisingly, you might think it's easy to be a role player, but it's not. You literally have to lose your ego completely, and everybody thinks you're the worst, but in reality, you are a big part of why your team does the way they do. So just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, Mutex, go for J God.
I feel like it's weird because I ended up going first, so I'm like, I gotta say good or bad regardless. No, I put Mutex right around a 79. I think he is a very talented player. I think he's probably a better content creator than a competitor at the moment, only because like finding a real solid trio to play with has been difficult, I think, for him. Like Ebatez said, he was cycling through players. The fact that they were even able to make it is ridiculous. And I don't know necessarily what it is, whether he needs an in-game lead that he respects and trusts, and that's maybe impossible for him to find, or he needs to be a better in-game leader and find people that'll follow along. I don't know really what the problem is, because I've watched him as a content creator, 2v2, that type of stuff. He does really well in that. Yeah. But when it gets into the private match where like everyone has a gunny, it gets very difficult to play his normal play style, and I think that hurts him quite a bit.
I think I think on the contrary to, let's say, Smixy, Mumu is obviously very talented. He's very good, but I think the one thing that kind of is his, kryptonite is he has the tendency to overextend too much or to get overzealous, things like that. So I think he's still incredibly good, but again, this is one of those things where, I don't know. I watch him a lot actually, but in competition, maybe, this is one of those things where you probably have to talk to his teammates. Maybe he might not be the best team player. Maybe he might not, be the opposite of that, like what that team needs, right? Again, he's, as an individual, he's good. I wonder if it's because in the team environment, he struggles with. But I don't know. I think that's one of those things where we'll kind of see as we go forward, right? But Shifty, go ahead, tell me.
With Mutex, I think what hurts him too is you have to be a specific type of person to play with Mutex. I think he's very a strong personality, especially when he's competing. He likes to go over things like immediately. Some people say he puts blame on other people. And I've been in the same thing with D and Sage, where I'll come off very strong about something because I feel like this is what's detrimental to us. But I think Mutex might be in the wrong role. I think Mutex would be better as like the fragger instead of an IGL, because I think that he is very good, but you can't really balance both, like trying to get the kills for your roster and then also IGLing. So I think that that's where that gap is for him. I think he was in the wrong role this year, so I would rate him like a 78. I think he's definitely better than the 78, but I think the role he tried to place himself in like hindered his game way too much, and I think Mutex would benefit having someone telling him when and how to row and where to go to, and then letting him kind of just go rogue, because he's a good player. He's on like 2020. I don't know if he's still on 2020 cents, but
not when he competes.
Now he
competes, like 7,
okay,
7, 9, 9.
He's good. He's a good player, but I don't think like you got to be kind of insane to be able to frag and IGL. Like you got to be crazy.
Yeah, gas yourself up, bro.
My fault. So throw it in there. But it's a hard job to do, and I think I don't think he's playing with the right players, and I don't think he's in the right role.
Okay, all right. And Ebatez.
So I'm gonna put him at a 73, and the reason I'm saying that is because I do think he struggled very heavily, and I have talked to a lot of people that have played with him. And even people that have tried to IGL and told him, hey, I'm an IGL, and he has a very hard time giving up that role. So same thing that Shifty's saying. I don't think he's a good IGL. I don't think he's good at keeping his team on the same page. And I do think that Huskers was the only person that he respected enough to let IGL, and we saw the result of that. So even on short notice. So like I said, if he can get over the fact that he's not a great IGL, dude, I know I'm not a great Slayer. It's just to every team, there's a role. So I think that he's a very talented player with really good gunny. And like I said, if he can get over that, then he can easily get back to where he was in Verdansk. So
cool. All right, let's go to Z-Laner. J-God.
Tricky one. I got to put it like at a 77, I think. Is it probably a good score?
Okay.
I feel like he even mentioned himself, he wasn't really passionate about this game because of how awful it was. And it was kind of like, oh, we qualified, so I kind of got to be passionate. And his individual performance wasn't particularly great in the tourney, and I think he's a case of where maybe the roles have shifted, where the team dynamic before he was kind of like a slayer. I don't know if he was the in-game leader before, but I feel like maybe it needs to be a different team or something like that. I know they had their issues when we even covered that part of it, but I don't know. I feel like he's still a very good player, and maybe when the new game comes out, it'll be a different story, and he'll be passionate, and he'll just be like no life in it. But he's kind of a player I think performs better in 2v2s and those wager type stuff, but maybe not in private match currently.
Okay. All right. Shifty.
I'm gonna be a little bit lower on this.
Okay.
Because I think Z is like, he feeds off of like the passion and all that, like with D. So I think they're like a great. Those guys need to stick together. Those guys, when they play twos, like that is insane. If you watch them like that, you will see that they click so well.
Yeah.
And I think they had a lot of drama this year, of course, like with Belk and all them. And I think that's what turned Z Laner off of like competing. Because if you don't like competing with who you're competing with, the whole team drops. So I would have to put him at like a 74.
Okay.
This year, I don't think he even played off the rip like any tournaments that at least I've seen. And if he did, I don't think he played too well. But I do think he's a good player with the right people. So like I think like that DBZ squad, like back in the day, like when the passion was flown, and I think that's, maybe they liked each other a little more back then. Like they were a really good. They were a threat. Like they were like, I watched all those tournaments. They were really good. I just think this year they didn't click, and I think it kind of fell apart for them towards the end of the year, where unfortunately the biggest tournament was happening. And I think that played a big factor into that World Series performance. But they still won a game on land, so I do think he's a good player. Just not the right people around him this year.
Okay. Cool. Ebatez.
I'm going to put him at a 75. I do think that, they did show up to land. They won a game, and I think the energy, like Shifty was saying, is really good. It just sucks that I feel like the drama overshadowed everything this year. Like if you think back to their competitive career this year, all you think about is just the drama that happened, which sucks. So next year, I'm excited to see if he's back and who they're teaming up with. I know they've been playing with Raul a little bit. It's been like Raul, Destroy, and Z. So we'll see if that's like a new trio or something, because I know Belk went to Apex. But I think 75 is definitely a fair spot to put him.
Okay. All right, Nico. Mr. Nico Infinite. Yeah, God.
I got Nico at a 78.
Okay.
I think obviously they kind of pulled together the team at the last minute with Crowder, and they made it happen. They performed okay. On land, not particularly well. I think they were in the bottom half for sure. But I don't know. That's another one where it could just be like having the right team as well to be able to shine, because I think Nico's a pretty good player. It's just a matter of making it work. I don't know what to make it go higher, though. He just has to perform better in tournaments, but he's a good player overall.
Okay, cool. All right, Shifty.
I actually don't know too much about Nico.
Okay.
So I think I just have to put him at like 75. Like I don't think I watched too much of him. The only Nico I know is the guy who do like crazy trick shots and like for dance. Is that the same Nico? Or no?
This is the one
you're thinking.
I don't think so.
I think
You're
I'm the
thinking of
phase
somebody
guy.
else.
Neo. Okay, I'm thinking of Neo.
You're thinking of
Yeah.
No,
Nico. Yeah, I just don't.
Insane, bro.
I just don't know. I just don't know too much about Nico, so I can't rate him too high. But I know he's good. He made it to lane, and I think he's a solid player. But I just don't know too much about him.
Okay, so is it? You said 75?
Yeah, I'll put him at 75.
Okay, all right.
Basically, because he made it to London. That's what I think. If you made it, clearly you were good enough to be there. And I just don't know much else about him. So at least competitive wise.
Okay. All right, Ebatez.
So again, kind of saying like I think his shining moment this year was them getting first in like the qualifier in stage 1, and then I think also like their last chance game. So I feel like it'd be unfair to put him higher than some of these other people. I'm gonna put him at a 73.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, 73. All right. Now let's go colors. We still got a lot. I just realized. So I'm gonna try to speed.
Like not even halfway.
Yeah, we're not even halfway. We got a lot. Oh my God, we got a lot to go through. All right. Colors. People said that we ranked them too high. I don't know. Talk to me, J God.
For which one?
Colors.
No. I think colors is definitely right around 79 where you guys have him too. I think he's a stronger player than Swag. I think, and he was definitely a core part of that team. It's just a matter of sometimes not having the right team It's just how it goes sometimes. I think you can put him on probably about a dozen other teams, and they probably would have performed better. Those teams would have performed better, and his performance would have been better.
Okay.
So I think 79 is fair.
Okay, 79. All right, Shifty.
I'd probably put him a little higher. I'd probably put him like 80. I think Colors in the beginning of every game, he's very good at twos.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Stu didn't compete at all, right, in this game?
No.
Okay, because I know like back then in Caldera, they would play the kickoffs. This year, I forgot who Colors played with. Even if there was like the CMGs, he's like really good. He's very passionate in the beginning of the game. I think he like lost his passion somewhere in the midway, and he didn't play too much. But like when Colors is grinding, he's good. He's not a bad player. He knows how to play. He's been doing it for a long time. And then with customs, like I think he's just like with the right players, he plays so much well, like so much better. Like back in Caldera when he played with Smith and Stu for a little bit, like that was a good trio. Like I don't think he had the trio this year that let him shine a little bit more. And I think that's just why he lost his passion and then wasn't streaming as much and playing the game as much. But I think Color's a good shout. So I put like 80, 81, 82.
81.
Like,
Okay.
I think he's a good player. Like
Let me know. 81 or 82.
82. He won the first 2v2.
Optic one. Yeah.
Like I watched it. He's good at the beginning of the games. He's always off. Like I think he has like a jump on people. He's one of those type of players that I think picks a game up really quick. But I think he just kind of lost it in the midway to stop playing, and there was really nothing to play anyway in the beginning of this game.
Yeah.
So and then I didn't really like his trio that he played with. I thought he could have been on a different team that would have just let him kind of do more. I like Trey fragging out just with other players that like a solid IGL and then a good support player or another fragger alongside him.
Okay. All right. Cool. Ebatez.
So there's two versions of Trey, right? There's Oregon Trey and there's Miami Trey. Okay, Oregon Trey is grinding, and Miami Trey is usually after a big tournament win. So after he won that 100K in whatever it was in December, he went to Miami Trey. He went straight to Miami, did the whole thing, and I think he lost his passion. So same thing, kind of what Shifty's saying. I think he is an incredible player. I'm gonna put him at like an 81. I think for the year, he did win a $100,000 tournament. By the way, we did not get a lot of those this year, and he did win one. Mm-hmm. I do think he's an incredible player, but dude, for some reason he didn't stream for like 6 months. I think I just don't know.
He went MIA.
Dude, he's an incredible player. He's always had a really good track record. Him and like Desmond always used to do really well. Him and Desmond in Attract used to do like really well in every big tourney. I think they got like 5th back to back in the other Caldera and Verdansk Trios World Series. So he's a good player. He just, like I said, needs to get back on his grind. He needs that hunger. So I think he got comfortable maybe early on in the year, or maybe he was with Swag and Evan, so he just didn't really try as hard or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But 81 seems fair.
Okay. All right. Now let's move on to DJ Moss, Mr. J God.
I don't know. I think it's a kind of hard one. I put right in between your guys' scores. Mm-hmm. I put it at 79. I feel like he's been pretty solid, consistent, but not like really top performance overall, like ever, like within this past year. Or maybe I'm just missing when they did, but I felt like in general, he's just a really good player, but like it's hard to move him above the 80.
So I would say this, going from quite literally all the 80s to like 87s, right? Like all of those 87s, all of that, like in my opinion, I think they easily can move up or down 5 spots. Like we're obviously going to figure this out like as we go along, but you could definitely like anybody can be give or take, right? Like from 80 to 87, 80 to 89s are like, it's going to be very close. So yeah. All right. What do you think, Shifty, for DJ?
I rate him pretty high. Okay. I like DJ. I watched a lot of the, like the eBay show, like that show, Sarif, right? Like I had to watch a lot of that because they were in our rotation. I think DJ, in my opinion, was the best player on that trio. Unless Smith was like really grinding. Smith, like when he's grinding, is pretty different. But I want to say DJ had passion. I know he has shit internet also, which is insane when he told me. Yeah. If you don't have fiber and you're playing these customs, like dude, I don't even know how you win a gunfight close range. But DJ, I probably put him at like an 87. Honestly,
87. Really?
Like,
wow.
I think he's very good. I think he doesn't do too much. I think he improved a lot this year. And also back when me and Soka were like dominating, him and Skull were one of the we lost our like 4th series to them ever in like the first 4 months of the tournament. We lost like one of our only series that we really lost was to Skull and DJ, and I forgot what tournament it was, a qualifier.
It was the Team Diverge one, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, not even that we lost them, like, bro, they're dropping 30s on us. Like, no one was really able to do that. And I even told like Skull, like, damn, bro, you're really our fucking kryptonite. Like DJ was really good. I didn't really know who he was. And I mean, the kid's a goat, I think. I think he's really good. I fuck with him, good personality, and like
He's been good for a very long time.
He's a dog in game.
Okay. All right. So, Ebatez, obviously your teammate.
Yeah, this is my teammate. I feel like if anybody knows a lot about DJ, it's me. I'm gonna agree with Shifty. I'm gonna put him at like an 86. I think he was probably. So they asked me like an interview question at World Series. They're like, "Who's the most improved player this year?" And again, not to be biased, but I did say DJ because, like I said, a lot of people last year did not know who he was. I kind of took him under my wing a little bit, and he'll even tell you like I taught him how to play customs. Here's like the game plan basically, and that kid literally ran with it. So he was from like, you know, playing with like nobodies to like really competing at the top. And even in all the World Series I've seen him play, he did really well. But I know this is about this year. Shifty's right. Like he did really good in 2v2s. And I do think if there's more 2v2s, him and Zepti were like doing really well competing against, you know, Shifty and Soka. Like obviously Shifty and Soka were a better duo, but I still think they were keeping up. I think the only people they were really losing to was Shifty, Soka, and Veiled and Sage. So, which says something. So yeah. I think he did really good. And even going into World Series, I mean, we were in your guys' tier list like an A-tier team. So I don't think it's fair to put him anything other than like an 86, in my opinion.
Okay. All right.
Another thing too with DJs, he's like, when I did play him in twos, like he was never the one like why they were losing. And then even in customs, I feel like he played very well. Like he's on the top leaderboard. Like he's always in that top 10. And he's a hard kill. He was actually a hard kill this year. And he's not on fiber, so
yeah,
I think that's a lot, bro.
He's on cable internet. I think his upload's like 8 or something. It's like really bad.
Yeah, it's sick. He's sick in the head.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Ebatez. So obviously Ebatez is not allowed to rate himself, and so we'll figure out how we do this because we definitely need to fill this up with somebody. But
60.
Jacob, talk to me on Ebatez.
I'm right around an 80. I think it's just one of those things where I think by the end of the year, they're kind of coming into their own as a team, and we'll see how they do this year. But individually, I think he's done well too. Obviously, we've had him on here, so he might be a little bit biased where I want to put him higher, but then I don't because then I look like I'm biased. But, so I'm right at an 80.
Okay. All right. Shifty.
Muted Hector.
Oh, shit. All right. Okay, Jesus, I don't know how that happened. All right, Shifty.
Yeah, I'm gonna be flat at 80. I think Ebatez selfless. I don't think he cares to be like the fragger on the team or try to be someone he's not. I think Smith, especially like the people that he picked up. I didn't know who DJ was really before this year, and Smith like quit for a while, and he came back. So I think Ebatez like found himself a good duo in DJ and Smith. And also, Ebatez is a fucking trickster, bro. Like that guy, we had a lot of conversations. He knew a lot of the things. He just told me something the other day. I was like, I didn't even know that. So like he's a nerd. He's a nerd when it comes down to the game. And I tip that a lot. I like players that are like that take the time to find the things that no one else really knows. And then he keeps it under wraps. And you'll see that they do a lot of their tricks. They put it out there in that World Series with their little Serif Road, a village, and just the way that they play. Like, dude, those guys will sit there. I hated fighting them in village. They would snipe, and Smith was disgusting with a sniper. Like you just never really caught them out of position, especially if they were where they wanted to be. They didn't care how long it took or how many kills they got. They would sit there for so long, and I know that was Ebatez telling them not to like push us or not to OE. So I rate him pretty high with that, the 80. I think it's a good idea.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is for Ebatez's own like rating, I'm gonna grab obviously the average of this, and it's just like, oh, somebody broke something. It's 79D, 81 me, and then all of you guys put 80. So I think to be fair, I'm just gonna put it as an 80, so that we have all 5 sections whenever they average it out. So let's move over to Blast, and I'm gonna ask Shifty that you be very honest, and you don't let your hatred for this man
easy ass.
But just be very honest and just like how you see him as a player. So Jay God, go ahead with Blast.
I think I would put him right around a 77 or 78, somewhere in that mix. A little bit lower than you guys had him. Like, obviously, as we've gone through these, I'm like, well, where would he fit on a team, and how does he perform in customs? Even though I know he's nasty at the game, it's kind of hard to put him over anything higher over an 80, just because even when it comes to customs, he doesn't do particularly like at the top of the board.
Yeah. So would you put 77 or 78?
I think 78.
78. Okay. 78. All right, Shifty.
No, I actually, bro, I'm gonna rate him. Like, honestly, fuck the bullshit. Like, I'd give him like a 78. I do think he's a good player. I think definitely knows how to play COD. I mean, he was in the league. He had success in early war zones. I don't think he had as many team options as before. I know he played with Intex and Buh, I think. And they had some success here and there, like in the top 5s, top 10s, and some of the Twitter tourneys that they did play. I just don't think this was his year. You know, I don't like him, but game is game, and I don't think he's a bad player. I just don't think he was that good this year.
Okay. All right. Ebatez.
I'm gonna put Blast at a 78.
Okay.
And the reason I say that, again, he did try multiple teams. I think like even like 3 or 4 months of the year, kind of like a Trey situation. He was just playing Valorant, like going for like Radiant or something on Valorant. So I just don't think, don't think it was his year. Taking care of his kid and just kind of just getting ready for the next year. So.
Okay, cool. All right, Gary, Mr. Unrational. And you know what? Let's switch it up. Ebatez, go first. We'll kind of zigzag it so that way J God doesn't have to be, you know? Gary, Mr. Unrational, what would you rate him?
So I think he gets a lot of hate because they didn't qualify for World Series. But I do think Gary had a decent year. I put him at an 84, I think is fair. Probably a little bit higher than what you guys had him.
Okay.
Yeah, but I do think he had a good year.
Okay. All right, Shifty.
Probably like an 82.
82.
I don't think he's a bad player. But I will say in the World Series, they did really well. They had like that 32 kill win. And I think Gary was half of those kills. I want to say he was.
Yeah, I remember that. He went like
15. Like 15, 16 kills.
Yep.
I think Gary's really good. I also do think their problems with their trio held them back a little bit. I know earlier Verdansk and Caldera, he was a lot better in 2s than he was this year. But I do remember in the beginning of this game, he was pretty good at 1s. I played him a lot in like some of the CMG kickoff tournaments. He was really good as a 1v1 player, and 2s with Scummin in the beginning of the game. So I do think he's a good player. I just don't think he cared enough to play the 2s off the rip. Really grind it. But when he did play, like that first month, he was really good. But again, I think with a lot of players, like the midway of this game, people stopped caring. There wasn't anything to play, so like everyone went content. Like I know once the nukes and all that came out, he was doing that with Bobby, like the riot shield, the no gun nukes. So I don't think he cared about comp like the other years, which is respectable because I mean there really wasn't anything to play comp wise. But I do think he's a good player when he puts like 100% into it.
Okay, all right, and J God.
Yeah, I put around 82, just as mirrors yours a little bit. I think he's pretty good. Obviously, he didn't make it to the World Series of Warzone, but they placed well in the first stage. The second stage, they kind of barely missed out a little bit. So, and that was probably drama based, where they had their issues where qualifying, where they had to get a third, and that just didn't work out the right way. But I think individually, he's a really good player.
Okay, all right. Now Tekka, J God.
I'm gonna put him at an 84. I think he kind of shined a little bit this year, especially with that whole drama that they had, and then they ended up coming through and competing. And the fact that he was like really focused on the game really helped. I think a lot of that preparation to make it happen, and it just worked out that way. So I would probably say around 83. I'll say 83.
83. Okay.
Yeah.
83. All right, bet. Now Shifty.
And that was my number. J God stole it. Yeah, I put him like at 83. I think another thing with this year too is Intex never really has a team to play with. I think in all the other war zones, no one really picks him up. He's a great S&D player, but when it comes to Warzone, I think he like kind of lacks the options. And in this year he picked up Buh, so that was like he played S&D with him a lot, and I think that also. Not that it hurts you, but it's one of those things where you kind of got to take a year to like really see the next year with a player. So I think he took Buh under his wing. He's teaching them. They're grinding. And I think next year we'll be able to see more out of that duo. They were really good. They played the TD tournament that we had. There was an issue that happened in that match, but they were always a strong duo, I thought. And Buh never really played too much. So I think that kind of credits Tekka's ability as a player to play with someone who's newer to the scene and really teach him the ropes. And I want to see what he does next year because of that. So I think next year, it'll show a lot from this year, how much work they put in, if next year they can kind of shine a lot more. But I think he's a solid player. They made it. I like them picking up Braylick or Brolic. I always say his name, I always say his name wrong. Brolic. I think that was like a good mellow personality that they needed, and I rated that trio pretty high, and I think they did pretty good. I want to say they're 12th. Yeah, not bad at all. I like that team a lot. I hope they go into the next year together.
Okay, cool. Ebatez.
I got Tekka about an 80.
80.
I think for the same reason that Shifty said, I do think that Tekka's a good player. I just don't think he really had a solid team, didn't get opportunities to get picked up. If he did get picked up, it wasn't the greatest captains, so whatever it is. Him and Believer are like one of those duos that I could see like, somebody like Isaac or somebody picking up and just kind of growing together. Yeah. I just think it's whether Intex and Believe, I don't know what they want. Do they want to not necessarily start over, but do they want to grow with a new captain or a new trio, or do they want to just like grind it out with Brolic and see, what kind of opportunities they get? So
yeah. Okay. I think I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave mine at that. We'll leave it here as 80. But I will say, going into Booyah, I'm gonna go ahead and adjust this. And again, this is my friend, right? But I think speaking on Booyah is he didn't really play that much, and I think to have him at 83, in my opinion, is a little bit disrespectful to a lot of the people in the 80s. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop him down to about 78 before we get started. He didn't play at all. Obviously, his individual talent is very good, but we didn't see him accomplish really anything this year. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop him down based off him not playing at all and not really being involved. And even the tournaments that he did play, they didn't really do the hottest. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop him down. But again, you guys are free to have a different opinion than me. Go ahead.
I'm gonna actually keep your original score. I think 83 is still a good number. The only reason I say that is because even with the lack of participation, he just didn't participate in a lot of tournaments. If he said, I am down to compete, there are people that will drop a third to pick him up. I think he's that good of a player. Yeah. And even when we did see them compete, I don't remember which tournament we were watching, but it was his POV. It's something he competed in. I don't know if it was one of the stages or something towards the end. But maybe it was last chance qualifier or something.
He was in LCQ, right? With IQ and Ryda, and
so he basically, it was like a throwaway tournament for him. Yeah. But I think individually he still did like pretty well, even though maybe their team. Like, remember I remember vividly we were watching. We're like, oh no, he's not gonna be able to do this. But then like he triple killed some team and like ruined their game. Yeah. And it was kind of like one of those. Yeah, Booyah still like is him, but like, does he want to be him on a team, So I don't know. I think it's really hard, but if he wants to compete, he would easily get picked up by top teams.
Yeah, I agree. So I went, that's exactly why, like, he's insane, like, at the game. And a lot of people are like upset. I get it. I love Booyah too. That man naturally is incredible, right? I would post him in the high 80s if, but we have to be fair and we have to go with this year alone. So that's why I ranked him what I ranked him. But go ahead, Shifty.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be low. I'm gonna be like at the 80 mark with him. I know he's really good. Like from the previous Warzones, I actually did not see anything besides when he did play the whichever stage he did play. That was or LCQ. That was the only time I seen him compete at all. So I don't know if he did compete any like earlier than that. I never saw it, but I do know that like if he was grinding, he'd probably be in the high 80s, low 90s. Okay, like, just off of preview, just because of what he has done before, and I think he'd be like one of those players that. No matter fast movement, slow movement, whatever caught, like he'd be just good at it. I think he's one of those like natural talents. So I'd probably just put an 80 for this year. But if he actually grinded, probably be like 90.
Okay, so. That's fair.
Yeah, I think we all agree it's like a sample size thing. I'm gonna put him at a 76, and the reason is because I think that somebody like Smixy had a better year than him, quote unquote. Obviously, if he had more tournaments, more just opportunities or whatever. I know he's doing his YouTube thing, so. But he's obviously a great player. 76, I feel feels fair to me. Okay.
All right. Now let's move over. Ebatez, go ahead and tell me about Vonbot.
Dude, Vaughn's really good. And I know his team did pretty consistent all up until LAN. I'm sure, I mean, even my team struggled on LAN. There's, certain reasons that people struggled in London specifically. But I think all things considered, the year that he had, I think it's fair to put him at like an 82. I think they got like 7th and then 7th again, stage 1, stage 2. And I know he was getting a lot of kills. I know Dongi was their guy, especially at home. But I think, 82 is definitely fair.
Okay. All right. 50.
Slip that at home in. Okay.
I mean, hey, listen, he had 37 and 33 at home. Like, I don't know.
No,
I don't think he's cheating, but
100%.
he was the guy at home, man. He was the guy. He could not, dude. Nobody was guarding Dongy at home. Like,
No, with Vaughn individually, I didn't know much about him until World Series. I think he's a strong player, passionate player. I think I played ranked with him a couple times. Like you could tell he wanted to play even when that game sucked. You know, unfortunately, the ranked era was not great for us. I don't even know what they got on LAN, but I want to say just from what I've seen of him, like 82 is fair. There's not enough for me to rank him higher, and I don't think he had too many bad performances for me to rank him any lower. He's a good player, strong player, and hopefully we have more lands to see. You know, maybe Doggy could come back, man. It does suck though because in team based things like that, Vaughn can play really great, but he won't be able to win unless all three are doing good. So I don't even know what the kills look like for that LAN roster, but I know at home they're really consistent.
Okay, all right. And J God. Von Bot.
I'll do the same. I'll do 83. I think they performed pretty good up, like you said, up until the LAN. But in general, is kind of one of those names that was always popping up on the leaderboards when we were doing all our watch parties. It was like, oh, is Von Bot's doing this? So it's kind of like clearly a good player.
Yeah.
he's he's one of those players. Okay, like to go back again. Sorry to cut you off. He's one of those players that. He's like a young and up and coming demon. Like he literally is like one of those kids who just needs an opportunity to play and grow with a team. He needs an IGL. He's honestly a player I would compete with if I was going to compete next year. Like he's a really, really talented player. And I think like somebody again, like Isaac, sorry to use Isaac as an example, but we were talking about him earlier. He's somebody that I think is just a really good, talented player. Just needs to get taken under the wing of somebody who has experience.
Okay. All right. So let's go destroy J God.
I put him at 85. I think he's the best player of the trio.
Okay.
All around in terms of energy, passion, like what he brings to the table and where he can fit on multiple teams. I think he's just an all around good player. I think 85 is a solid number.
Okay. Shifty.
I'm gonna say 86.
Okay.
I mean, it's basically the same thing, 85, 86. I think Destroy, one thing that stands out about him is like the passion, vibes too with him. I love playing with him. I don't think I've competed with him. If I have, it wasn't a lot. I think he, with the right people, I know he picked up Raul and like they've been kind of playing a little bit more. Like I think Destroy can really bring up a player, make him better just because like when you compete with him, it's fun and he makes sure it's fun. And like it kind of takes the stress off of what you're actually doing, competing. And I think he makes everyone comfortable, which allows everyone to play really well. I've been playing against them a lot in these Vandals. He plays with Zunde and Raul, and they've been showing out. So I think Destroy knows how to play the game. He knows how to win, and it's also a lot of fun to play with him. And I think that like as a player, it's hard to do that, to have that like kind of aura of just like you can enjoy competing with the guy, even no matter how much money it is. So I rate him super high. I love the passion that he has. I mean, I could play 12 hours of ranked with that guy just because he's fucking screaming in my ear. Like, that guy is he's a special one.
Okay. All right. Ebatez, destroy.
Yeah, I think he takes off a lot of like Soka's game. Like Shifty was saying, he's somebody that you could put him with any team and he'll do good. He'll make sure that everybody's on the same page in the entire game. He's a really good IGL, high energy, has really good gunny, is selfless. Like I watch him and I watch Soka, and they're not basically the same player. I know Soka's a very, very talented player, but so is Destroy, and I do think that they take after each other a lot. So I'm gonna put him in an 84.
84. Okay. 84. All right. Oh shit, that worked. 84. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and change mine, man. I mean, honestly, I think I would probably. I know I have him and Clutch at the same, right? And again, no diss to anybody, but I would probably team with Destroy more than Clutch. So I'm gonna put him at 86 on my end. So let's go. And then okay, now speaking of that, Clutch, Ebatez, Clutch Belk.
As far as this year, I'm pretty sure Clutch Belk had like a better year. I think he was winning a lot of 2v2s, if I'm not mistaken. So I'd put him at an 85.
85.
With Xenon.
Yeah.
He just went with Xenon.
Yes.
That was a
Him
good
and
deal.
Xenon were cooking. They were cooking. I remember now. So
Okay.
I'll put him at an 85.
Okay. Now let's do Shifty.
It's none of those guys. You know what I'm saying? It's couple of them. I mean, I think Belk is good. I think he's a good individual player. I think the team aspect is where he lacks. Not even that he's bad on a team. I just think the attitude he brings is like you got to be like a specific type of person, which I think with Xenon, like in the beginning of the game, like they were the same. You could tell those guys would be best friends IRL. Like they're super grindy. They're passionate with each other. But I think in terms of like the customs, Elk I did have as their best player on that roster, with D and Z, but I'd have him around that 84, 85. Because of the twos. Like he was actually pretty good in the twos. I think it was at one of the Optic. He actually played at the Optic headquarters, and they did fairly well. I want to say they got top 3. I maybe top 4.
100K Optic, he got 5th place.
Is it 5th? Okay, like, and that was still really good. I don't know who they lost to. I'm sure it was a good team. I personally don't like him, but like game is game again. I think he's a good player, just not like the best team player.
Okay. So what do you rate him?
Like 85.
85. All right. 85. Boom. All right. K-God.
I'm gonna say 84, only because
84?
like instead of raising Destroy, I have him as one lower. Even though I think he's really good, I think the thing that we talked about earlier, the whole package, I put Destroy just slightly a hair better.
Okay. All right. Now, what do you think about Clamp?
I don't know. That's tricky.
It's tricky. I know a lot of people haven't seen him play, but that man's gunny is crazy.
I would put him right around at 83. I mean, obviously they made it out of the open for their region to get into the World Series of Warzone. I don't think they performed particularly well at the LAN though, right?
No, they did not. No. At the LAN itself, they didn't. I forgot. Does anybody here know what they placed? I don't think it was
bottom half for sure.
Yeah.
I think it was like 36 or something.
Yeah, so for me, like I got to put it a little bit lower than your guys's. Okay. Obviously, you know them and played with them, but I put them around at 81, I think.
81? Oh shit, let me change it. 81. Okay. Now Shifty.
Personally, I think Clamp's a great player. You probably see more of Clamp in like the 2v2s more than you see like in the customs. Sucks because like that I was like he got dropped and I came in, like I feel bad. Because I do think like the reason why they got 33rd is because they didn't have much time as a trio. Like he got dropped a month and a half before they had to play. I do think he's a good player. I think I don't know like the LATAM talent that's out there, so I don't know like if he did play with the best of the best. But I do think he's a strong 2v2 player. A really easy player to play with too. Good vibes. He's got great input when you do play with him. I like playing 2v2s with him. I won like a 5K with him early in the year. I do love playing with that guy. I'd say like an 85 for me. Personally, I think he had a lot more success in 2v2s than he did in customs. And even when he was playing customs, I think they won a 15K. D and Sage and Clamp, they won a 15K. And they always place pretty well with him. I do think he's a great player, but I do think there is a language barrier, which is unfortunate, that he has to play with specific players because of that. Because some people, it is hard to compete with someone that they're thinking in like Spanish, but they have to speak in English because I know what that's like playing with people like that. And it's a lot harder for them. It's twice as hard as them to have clear comms when you're literally translating in your head before you speak. But I think he's a solid player. I love competing in twos with him.
Okay. All right. Ebatez.
Yeah, Clamp's a very good player. I got him at a 79, and the reason I say that is because I think the only like big tournament, at least that I know that he won, was that 12,000 or 15,000 like all Mexico tourney. And again, that's not like the best of the best. So I'm gonna put him at a 79.
Okay. All right. Now
I will say I was in that tournament. It wasn't just like Mexico only. I know we played that tournament. We did lose to them.
Okay.
What do y'all think about Ebatez? What do you think about Braxton?
So I think Braxton actually had a pretty good year. Obviously he got third in the Caldera one, and I was like, okay, that might be like, the top for him, but he actually proved me wrong this year and did really well. I'll put him at like an 87. And the reason I say that is because they did do really well, at LAN. I think they got 7th. And I also will say anybody that he was playing with, I know FIFA picked him up for a tourney and I think they won. There was a lot of times he was getting picked up and doing really, really well, like top 3 finishes all year. So I think he's a very strong player and kind of just he knows his role and he adds to every single team that he's played with.
Okay. All right. 87. Now Shifty.
I'd say he's a better custom player than his twos. Like I feel like if I'm ranking people from everything, like the twos is where it hurts him. I mean, I played against them all year in twos and customs. Like their trios are usually pretty good. I know they had Tyrannics, but I think he stopped playing. So I think that's when they start. I forgot who they picked up for that. Whoever their third was. I don't even remember who their third was. I think Finessin, right?
For what? Oh, for what series was Finessin? They had Prospect, drop Prospect into Finessin.
Yeah, and even I remember there's a lot of like drama about them dropping Prospect, and Brax was like, just like wait and see, and they did have a better result.
Yeah.
I do think he knows how to play the game. He's a player for me that doesn't stand out as in like he's super cracked. I think he's just like an all around. He's good at a little bit of everything.
Okay.
And clearly their trio has like a lot of chemistry, which I do think carries in this game. 2v2s, I don't think he was as strong of a player. So I'd put him around like 85.
Okay. All right. So
but it does
85?
seem World Series. They always, but it always seems like World Series they're very consistent.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
like the bigger customs.
I think Brax is, my opinion, is one of the most underrated individuals. That's my opinion. He's very good and he brings a lot to a team, but it's one of those things as well that he brings something that's not, a lot of people can't see. Like the casuals won't really understand it all. But yeah, so go ahead, J God.
Around 85 as well. For the men, basically what they already mentioned. He's done well and placed well. It's just like you said, he's probably still underrated because for whatever reason, maybe they need a win. So yeah. I'm not sure, but yeah, right around 85.
Okay, all right. And now, what do you think about Evan, J God?
I don't know. This one's super tricky.
Okay.
Because it feels like, obviously, you guys, even your guys' numbers, I feel like those are too high based off what we've already talked about. Mm-hmm. But like, I wouldn't put them below. I don't know, probably like an 82. It sounds criminal to say that, like that low,
because of his past performances.
Yeah, but the performances really haven't been there. Like, and I don't think he's been competing nearly as often. So I don't know. It's kind of weird to say the Super Heaven's that low, but I don't know. It's kind of a weird number, but that's kind of where I put it. Yeah,
you know what? I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Looking back on this, and like obviously Verdansk Evan is a completely different fucking thing, right? I'm probably gonna have to change mine, man. With Evan, I think this year, sadly, he didn't do as much, and I can't really put him like this high in my opinion. So I think I'm gonna have to go down to like, I'm probably just gonna do 82 on my end. Shifty, go ahead.
I think with Ev 2, there's not much that I know that he played like early or even like toward the later end. It was just a World Series that I know that he played in. Like, that's where I really saw him grinding. I don't think he had, also again, like for Super Evan, I think he should be playing with the best players, just based off of previous years. So I don't know how that happened, if people just forgot about Ev, or I think maybe he went the more content route this year. I'd probably put him at like 81. I think Ev, if Ev is not worried about a YouTube upload and it's just grinding, like back when he was playing with Diaz, I mean, they were arguably one of the best duos of all time. Definitely one of the best trios he's been a part of. With the, I think, back-to-back seconds with you guys, or I just know Evan was always a great player. Like that. Like when I think of Super Evan, I think of top performances, always in that top 3 when it mattered. 2v2s, they ran the game. But this year, I don't even know who he played 2s with. And World Series team, I do think that Ev is a higher caliber player. And I do think with the right people around him, like that's where he shines. He's a great IGL too. Good personality. Like he knows how to play the game. I don't think he's like a panicky type player. Like he understands how to win. Clear comms out of him at all times. So I wish he played more.
I will say this. Look, talking about Evan, I think if anybody knows Evan in this call, in this thing, it's more than anybody, it's me. I played with him for 2 years straight. Every single day, I know the way he thinks. And again, this year, I don't think Evan performed to his ability. I think he hated the game and he didn't grind, like transparently speaking. But Evan is arguably top 3 IGLs in the game. Like people don't understand that Evan's brain, when he wants to, that's the biggest thing. I remember having this conversation. If Evan is passionate, that man is a weirdo, bro. Like he just knows things and he knows rotations and he knows where the circle's gonna end. Like if we got Verdansk Evan back or Caldera Evan, like that man is different, bro. That man is really good. Do I think that this, whatever he ends up with after we're done with this, is accurate representation of him as a player? No, but I think it is an accurate representation of him this year. So, I mean, Ebatez, what do you think?
Yeah, let me say this before I jump into my ranking, and I will say, like, Verdansk Evan, and again, now is way different, but we're ranking now. I personally learned how to IGL from Evan back in Verdansk. I really do think that he's one of the smartest players in the game. I've learned a lot from him, but we are ranking this year, and I don't think it's fair to even put him close in the 80s. I will put him like 77, 78. I'll say 78. And the reason I say that is because I think when he like stopped playing with Biffle or whatever happened there, they just weren't a duo anymore. I think he was just like, all right, like I'll just go play with Swag, or I'll just do whatever. Like it didn't seem like he was like, I'll just go do whatever, see where I fit. And he wasn't like, well, I'm going to go out and get like one of the best. Like I'm going to go take somebody from somebody because I'm Evan, and like I'm good. And so I think this next year you'll see Evan playing with like two demons again, and not just like settle for just, being whatever. I think he's going to have a good year next year, but I think 78 is probably fair for this year.
Okay. All right. And what do you think about Brawlik, Ebatez?
I don't necessarily know Brawlik all that much besides just 2v2s. I think customs, he definitely struggled. I actually played with him before we got Smit, and he was really struggling in customs. So, but I know he's a very good 2v2 player, and I know they did pretty decent. So I feel like 82 is probably fair.
Okay. 82. All right. What do you think, Shifty? Brawlik.
I really like Brawlik. Okay, I always say Braylik. I've played with him a little bit, and he's a great 2v2 player. And then customs, I really like how he plays in customs. Now, I don't know. I've never really competed that much with him, so I don't know if he's like the quiet one, the loud one, the IGL. I'm not exactly too sure. But twos, he's a strong player. I think he played with Jace. I know he played with Exact for a little bit, which, in my opinion, I think Braylik is a better player, and I think he deserved to play with some other great people like Jace. And I think that he had a lot of success with Jace. In customs, I don't know too much about how that went down, how he landed on the teams he landed on, because I know for a while he didn't have a team, and he was tweeting out like he doesn't even know why he doesn't have people to play with. And I was one of those people like, dude, I'm gonna like DM some people because you are very, very good. Yeah. I think it takes the right team to utilize him right, and I think that Tekka and Bud trio, like I rated them so high, I liked them. The vibes seemed good. They're all confident with each other. I think Braylik needs to be around the right people that have the same trust in him that he'll give to others. And then they kind of excel. So I think that's like why he had a lot of success with Tekka and Ba. I think they wanted it and they grinded together for it. And I think Brawlik is going to be like hungry this next year. But I think he kind of felt that people were disrespecting his name. And I think this next year he's going to like show why, you shouldn't have. Yeah. But I think he had a solid year. So I'd say like the 80, 82, 83, maybe.
Give me a number.
I'll get 83. All
right, bet. All right. J-God.
I'm doing 82. I think that's right around where he falls in. Like he said, he did better in the 2v2 stuff than the customs. But it also didn't look like he probably had a solid team that you can be. I think customs really comes down to that team synergy a lot of the times. If you don't have a solid team to be playing with regularly to build that chemistry, it's just hard to perform well in those, regardless of how good you are individually.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think?
I said 82.
Oh, 82. Shit. 82. Okay. 82. All right. Again, I in my opinion, I think Brawlik is incredibly underrated as opposed to like a lot of people. I ranked him at 85, and I'm not gonna switch that just because I think that man. Just wait until that man gets the opportunity. He's about to cook. I'll just say that. But now J-God Dongi. Again, we talked about Dongi. We talked about him. Right, performing like was Pope online and then on LAN.
I put him right around at 84. I think 84. Just it's like just more. That's really the problem with this year is there wasn't like a ton of tournaments. Yeah. Obviously, there's a bunch of Twitter tournaments, but the lack of like quality, like big tournaments, really made it difficult to judge players. Okay. And I think this is one of those cases where we saw him a lot in the watch parties for sure. But we had a lot of qualifiers, but like you said, on LAN he didn't do quite as good as he did at home. Okay. So it is what it is.
All right, Shifty, talk to me.
I think he's pretty good. I used to think he cheated. Like I'll just say that. Like there was a lot of like controversy about him. I remember like I was in a Discord with him because they thought something was on his monitor. I like took the time and I was like, you know what? Like that's nothing. Like I don't think you're cheating. Then we started playing with him. Me and Sage would play with him for ranked. And I think he's just like a passionate, like he's on the come up. I like him, especially he's really good at Vondel. I've played a couple like against him and with him. I think he's super passionate, strong player. I don't think he's like an IGL type player. I think he's just one of those guys you let kind of just go rogue, and you call him in when you need him. He didn't. I don't think he really played twos early in the year. I don't even know when I found out about him. Yeah. I just want to say it was around World Series. And they had a really good showing in online. I know you basically, online they did really good. And online and on LAN, it wasn't there. But if we're not judging off of one win or one loss, then I had thrown like 86. I think he was one of the better players that I found out about this year. I know a lot of new names now, but I think he's one of the better ones that have come up this year.
All right, what's your number?
86.
86. All right, Ebatez.
I got him at about an 86, and I think that's fair as well. I don't think he had any runs in twos. I don't think he was really playing twos. I think when he started getting in the competitive side was when World Series was announced, and he absolutely fried. I mean, that dude was cooking. I mean, like literally, like nobody could guard him. So, like I said, one bad tournament in London doesn't, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, I think an 86 is fair. He's a very, very talented player. Excited to see what happens next year for him. I have a feeling that a big like duo next year will pick him up as their third. That's what I'm thinking. I think I could see like an Aiden rated, not like, okay, they're obviously gonna stay with Adrian, but I'm saying like I could see that caliber of duo pick him up.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Now let's do Scummin. What are you thinking?
Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah,
Scummy.
You go first. Yeah, Scummy.
Dude, Scummy had a great year. He had a great year. And I know he didn't qualify for LAN. So which brings him down a little bit, which sucks, but I know he was eating in the 2v2s early, like top 3 finishes most of the time. And, again, had a solid stage 1 finish. Just kind of got caught up in some drama. I think it's fair to put him at like an 86 there with Dongi.
Okay.
Maybe actually put him in an 87. I think, like I said, had probably a better year than Dongi did, but, very talented player.
Okay. Shifty.
Scum is another person. I had a lot of run-ins with. I think he's a good player. I think he's been a good player. I think he's also been on a lot of rosters where it's a situation of invites, and he, it does kind of suck, but you do at some point need someone that getting the invites, and then you kind of have to carry. I think Scum's a really good player in twos, customs. He kind of like. He is good on some days and then isn't the best on other days, but I think right now with like the Vondel, he's really good. And then early 2v2s, he was fucking pretty damn good. I mean, it was like me, Soka, and Veiled Sage, and then it was Rated and Scummin. It did kind of suck because I felt like everyone was playing for third with me, Soka, and Veiled Sage. I was like we were competing against each other. I was like at the top, but the next team was Scummin and Rated. I'd give him like, honestly, like an 88.
88, okay.
Yeah.
What about you, J-God?
I would probably say around an 86.
86.
I guess that leaves me a little bit of room for the people continuing above the list. But I think in general, I think he's a really solid player. Obviously, that like what Ebatez said earlier, where when you get involved with the drama, that's what most people think about.
Yeah.
But obviously, in all the other performances, when he did have to play as a duo or any other tournaments, the Vondel stuff included, he's done pretty well. Yeah. Obviously, they didn't make it to LAN, but it's pretty hard to make it to LAN unless you're playing with the same trio from the beginning.
Yeah,
but,
again, I think a big thing, if he made it to LAN, Scummin probably goes into the 90s for me. Because he didn't, drops him down a couple points. I would say we'll get the average out for all of this. Diaz is not here, obviously, but he did the rating. In my opinion, I think Diaz put him too low. And I think the reason being what Diaz said, the reason why he had him at 83 was because he didn't make it to LAN. And he said you shouldn't be, I think he said it shouldn't be in the 85s or higher if you didn't make it to LAN. That's obviously not my opinion. That's his. He said something along those lines, but that's that. So let's go into FIFA. J-God, what you think about him?
I think FIFA is probably an 87.
87, okay.
Primarily because of the whole package in terms of what he brings to the table. Obviously, he's not known for a movement king or anything like that or whatever, but I think people respect him as a player. He's an IGL where if you moved him on a team and you put him with 2 players that are willing to listen, that are really good, they're probably going to perform good. I know that when we watched, it looked like the team chemistry wasn't always there, so they didn't perform nearly as good as maybe some of these other teams, even though they did progressively improve. I'd say if maybe the World Series of Warzone was 3 months later, maybe they perform better because maybe they iron out whatever the issues were.
Yeah.
but I think it's really hard to rate him low.
Okay. Shifty, what do you think?
Bro, I think FIFA's really good. I think he's top 3 EU. Especially the IGL, he might be probably the best EU IGL there is. And that's since the start of Warzone. This year, he was really good in 2s. I want to say Tommy and FIFA in that one tournament that you had to represent. Forgot exactly what it was. That tournament they got second.
They got second.
And I mean, the World Class, and they lost to Soka. Like that's a good team. If you're gonna lose to anybody, that's always a good player to lose to. Like, can't be mad about that.
Yeah.
FIFA is a strong player. I do think his issues with the World Series team was not on him. I watched them compete, and I honestly, if I put blame on someone, I don't think his teammates listened to him. I think they had too many IGL personalities on the roster. I played with Oki in the beginning of the game. He was our IGL. I know Wiz likes to be an IGL, and FIFA's an IGL. It just didn't work. I wish they would have listened to FIFA more. I think he had the right calls. I watched that tournament, Hector. You know, I watched their EU tournament. Every call that FIFA made for Endgame ended up being there. And they just weren't there because of people not listening. I'd give him a 90, but I can't give him higher or lower because of the team. I think his team brings him down a little bit because that's why his performances were like in the higher out of top 10 when he should be a top 5. But I also can't just give you that credit if it wasn't there. So I'd say 90 for me because I know FIFA's really good. I played with him this year. Solid player. He's always good in 2s, always good as an IGL. I just don't think he had the right personalities that like gave him that trust. I think it's a big thing too when you're in IGL. If you have teammates that don't respect you, they're just not going to listen to you. So I think FIFA, I needed to put his foot down a little more, especially coming into like a World Series event.
Okay, cool. I like that. Ebatez.
I got FIFA at a 91, and I think the reason I'm saying that is because his team was super good. They were like very consistent all the way up until like a little bit of like drama that they got into. Like I know like they were thinking about dropping Wiz or whatever, and it just felt like that was like the spiral effect. And I do think his earnings this year are like a little inflated because there were some only EU tourneys that he was like easily just cruising by. But I think
there was a Sheikah one.
Yeah, there was like a big tourney that they just like flew through.
Well, on top of the stages too.
Right. Correct. Yeah. So, I mean, yes, I hear Shifty. What he's saying is like, his team kind of brings him down, but at the same time, I do think he had a good year. And I think he still finished like top 10 for earnings, I'm sure, in Warzone 2 or something, or maybe not after World Series actually, but I think 91 is definitely a fair place for him.
Okay. I'm going to say this. Let me talk on FIFA. In my opinion, maybe it's like you guys might not agree, but in my opinion, I have him pretty low. I think I'm being generous with 88. And the reason why I say that is because I don't believe as an individual player, that man is him. Put him on a team that listens. Oh, brother. Like, that man is cooking. That man's, as an individual, just like without any game, that man's in the 90s for sure. But as far as like, I have to be fair, and I think this year, I don't believe he did the greatest, and I just think that team just didn't mesh well. That's it. Like, I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's if anything, he's one of the honestly top 2, him or Tommy, best IGLs in the game. But I just think this year he didn't do the greatest. So that's why I have him at 88. For those of y'all wondering. I mean, I still think like he definitely is like a 90-something player once he gets the people behind him that listen. But look, I'm going to go real quick. I'm going to go into this, and there's a couple people in here that, in my opinion, not in a bad way. Don't get mad, Gorgo. That shouldn't be on this list. We were just rambling, spitting, and Gorgo was one of them. Gorgo, I love you, but I don't feel like Gorgo played enough tournaments to be on this list. We were trolling with him in the chat, and like obviously, I think like my rating for him, 87. That's him as a player in general. But if we're talking specifically Warzone 2, I don't think Gorgo competed enough to be on this list.
Nah, the number he would get wouldn't reflect the type of player he is.
Yeah, tell me. Go ahead.
Whoa, you want me to tell you like
It'd
what I
be
think?
below 80.
Below 80. Yeah, I put him below 80. I would put him below 80 for this year, but I know he's a good player. No, that's what I'm saying. Okay. Like if he competed, he'd be, where he's at right now, but it's not fair to even rank him because of his sample size. It's like one of those things. Like I don't even think he played World Series. I think he filled in for a team.
Right now, it's like, how do you get 87, man?
Yeah. Just so you guys know, there was people in here that shouldn't be in here. That obviously I'll get to another one after this. But how do I delete it? Is it just cut?
You clicked on the 22, right click it, and then it should just say remove row.
Yeah.
It says cut. Is that?
No, delete row. It should say.
Nice.
Oh, delete row. There you
like
go.
6 down.
Yeah.
Knight did win Vondel custom with Smitten Capture, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did the custom. They actually did really well in that
Smith's
one.
really good at like Resurgence. He was one of the best in I think like the Verdansk and Caldera, like the Fortune Cube. So he was really fucking good, to be honest. I don't think he played big map like at all though. I think as a player, like if it's like Resurgence, he's up there in that 90, something. But overall,
I think Knight is the best Resurgence player in my opinion.
Yeah.
Out of like the Resurgence,
too.
out of the
Yeah.
Resurgence
Easily.
grinders, out of the Resurgence
By a mile.
grinders.
Oh, easily.
He's
By a
better
mile.
in my opinion. And again, if you disagree, you probably don't watch, or you probably just love your favorite streamer. But Knight is the best Resurgence grinder.
He had the
there is.
reputation of the best Rebirth player when it came down to the competing. Like I remember the Aiden Smith, like that trio was disgusting. And I think there were some quad tournaments, and they would just pick up another fourth. Like they were top 3, top 5 every single time, and it was always Knight like out fragging that team. And you have a team with Aiden and Smith, and you have Knight, the top of it. I mean, he's and he needs his respect for the Rebirth, the Resurgence. He's like one of the best players. I think in big map though, it's like you can't just throw like Gorgo into a big map if you don't grind it. It's just not really fair.
It's definitely hard.
Yeah. Chat, I think some of y'all are sorry in the nicest way possible. Some of y'all are casuals. Yeah.
Y'all
Some
are
of y'all are casuals and you love your streamers, but
That's your favorite Reaper streamer. Y'all are glazing.
Knight is on levels. There's levels, and Knight is above everybody. As far as Rebirth grinders. Anyways, let's move on. So Limax. I'm gonna go ahead and change mine. I think Limax is very fucking good. But if I have to put him in his team, I'm debating here whether to either drop Limax down 1 or to raise Joe up 1. You know what? Let me. I'm gonna let you guys go ahead. Go ahead, J God. Go ahead. I'll let you.
I'm gonna do it 85. I think 85 only because of the comparison you're making right now with the Jowo. I didn't want to keep bumping, because then if I bump Jowo up, then I got to bump all these other numbers up. So I put him right around 85. I think he's a solid part of that team, but I think in the order, I think it's going to be Bread, Joe, then him. Yeah. So it just kind of balances out the numbers.
That's what I think, right? So like again, 85. I'm gonna have to put him down to 87. Just because I think Joe has that slight edge this year at least. But I mean, we'll see next year. Shifty, go ahead.
I actually disagree with that. I think, in my opinion, for that trio, it was Bread, Limax, Joe.
Okay.
I think Limax, I mean, this is his first year, I think, where he's been on good ping. I think he moved from Aussie, right? He was he ran from what I heard, he ran the Aussie side. Of course, I don't think the sample of competitors is the same as like NA or U. He came over. I want to say I saw Limax first with like Sage. I want to say they played a little bit. Limax is a strong player, good at twos. I think he's overall one of the bigger threats on that roster. I would have him like on an 86. Actually, yeah, like an 86. Okay. 87. I'll play 87 because of how I'm going to rank his teammates. I think he's a strong custom player. Still learning though. I mean, I don't think he was able to play with the Bread and Joe type players in Aussie. I don't even know if they had trio tournaments. I know like every time I saw him in terms like a Pizza Hut, 15K, 2v2. So I know he ran the Aussie side. He came over here and one of the better players for sure. I just think he still has a lot more to learn from someone like Bread too, which having Bread on your roster is like, you could probably learn a lot, and that's a jump start for sure.
Okay. All right. Ebatez.
I got Limax at an 86. I think he had a really good year, all things considered. I mean, it was pretty cool. Like Joe and Brad tweeted out they needed a third for World Series super last minute, and he was available, which is crazy. So he's a very talented player. I think 86 is good.
Okay, so then what would you rate Joe?
I think Joe, I got like the same 86.
Okay.
Yeah, the DMZ Reapers, they went back to back or something in DMZ tourneys.
They're nasty at that shit, bro.
I love that. They loved it.
The number one in DMZ Reapers.
Yeah. So, all right, Shifty, talk to me.
I have Joe at 86. For that reason, I feel like the Bread and Joe duo in Caldera was not the same in this year. Also because of just the movement. I think Joe is, of course, like the movement king. Like you literally take a huge aspect of him away. And he still performed very well in customs. I think that's where he shined more, was in customs than the twos, because of how the movement was. He's a smart player. He was able to transition to that slower role with like Bread, and they were so annoying to fight with snipers, and they're kind of like another Ebatez roster where like they just didn't really move. and they always opened up fights with the blood. I believe they ruined our stage 2 finals. We had a huge game, like 10 kills off the rip, and I mean they held down a building, and we ran at them, and that's what ended our tournament.
Okay.
So I think they're a good team. They're always a solid roster. With Joe though, I do have him ranked a little bit lower, just because I think his other teammates, that fragging ability that I saw out of them was like insane.
Okay. All right. J-God, talk to me.
I put Joe right around an 86.
86.
I think, like I said, it's very close. I put him just a hair better in that scenario. But like we said, like Shifty just said, he was kind of restricted in some ways because one of his most dynamic assets was essentially nerfed. But you're still able to do a lot in the game. I mean, you just take advantage of the snaking and the movement. And I think he performed better in customs than he did in 2v2s. But overall, pretty good, solid team. They performed pretty consistent throughout the entire quals and stage 1, stage 2, and the finals.
Yeah.
I think they were one of the most confident teams as well.
Yeah, they definitely were. They definitely were. They definitely were. Okay, so let's go. J-God, Aiden. This is going to be a good one. A lot of people have different opinions on Aiden.
I'm going to go 90.
90?
Even though I know some people might want to put him lower just because he's not like Verdansk Aiden or whatever. I think it's kind of like you're going from he was close to as you can get to 99. I think during that era.
Yeah.
So for him to be knocked down to 90 is kind of like, oh yeah. But I think overall he's a very talented player. When he locks in, he is one of the best players that you could run up against.
Agreed.
And with or whatever. And his team it's good. They worked out with him and Rated and picking up Adrian. It was like the perfect combination. And I think overall he's just a solid player in every game he plays.
I mean, I'll say this, man. Like Aiden, in my opinion, obviously in Verdansk would have been like 96, 97 shit.
Yeah.
Borderline like perfect, right? I think this year, and I don't think that's, again, we're talking about this year. We're not talking about, anything other than this year. I think Aiden, in my opinion, like Warzone 2, he fucking hated it. And like that didn't let him grind as much as probably he would have liked to. And so I don't know, man. I think Aiden is a 90, and that's, I think, in my opinion, that's fair. For what I put, that man, they won the stage 1, and he whenever it's time to grind again, and like his natural ability is insane. It is insane. So just wanted to throw it out there. But Shifty, go ahead. What's your opinion?
This might cause some drama. I have him 89.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because
I thought you were gonna say like 84 or something.
No.
Comes in with the
because realistically, Aiden like back then like was a 95 plus like daily. I think this COD, I really thought that Smit and Aiden would be able to continue what they did in Caldera into this in 2s. Like they were an insane team, and they underperformed insanely. I think Smit quit pretty quick, and Aiden was kind of left with no duo. I think that's when he maybe started playing with Adrian. I don't know exactly when Aiden started picking up 2s again. I don't think he really ever did. And he kind of just stopped until like the custom started coming around. I think Aiden is one of those players that when you think of him, you think of one of the best 2s players, like one of the best COD players in general. And he did not have that year in 2s especially. But then customs, he won stage 1 and then second, I think stage 2, like he had some really strong performances. And the reason why I don't have Aiden above that 90 is because of their LAN performance and also the 2s. Like it just lacked for me. I think of Aiden as one of the best 2v2 players that Warzone's ever seen. But yeah, this year was just, it wasn't. And it was probably passion. He probably didn't like it. I think Aiden's one of those players that you really have to, if you enjoy the game, he'll grind it. Yeah. And I don't think he enjoyed it. I mean, he loves Apex, like I think back in the day, he was playing Apex like around that time of like the 2s. So I think that's why I don't have him at 90. I had to keep him a little bit under just because of that LAN performance at his team, and then also just the passion for 2s wasn't there.
Okay, all right. And Ebatez, talk to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna put him at an 88. And I think it sucks, like Shifty said, rating him like that feels low for him. But his like shining moment this year was second or first in stage 1 and then second in stage 2, which again is very, very impressive, which puts him at an 88. But I feel like other than that, they didn't really have much going. So he's a player that could easily be, again, 95. Curious to see who he competes with next year. I'm sure he'll stick with Adrian. I don't really know if they're sticking with Rated. I'm curious to see how that all plays out.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna real quick going into Otter, man. I'm gonna go ahead and after obviously this is a lot different than the way Diaz and I were doing it last time. I'm gonna go ahead and be a little bit more critical on Otter. He didn't make it to LAN. Obviously, as a talented individual, that man is different, right? But as far as like, you know, like his accomplishments this year, I definitely think he did incredible, right? But to have him at 89 might not be the best based off the things that not qualifying, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm gonna have to bump it down to 87. But again, J-God, go ahead and kind of continue off of that.
I don't know if I even would go that high. Maybe I was missing, but I don't feel like he was competing hardly all that much that I recall. So like I was surprised the number. I was gonna go like low 80s, but that's mainly just because I don't feel like I've seen him compete like that. But I don't know.
Yeah. Again, guys, I see a lot of people saying he shits on everybody. Yes, you're right. 1v1 he probably does, but again, we're going off of Warzone 2 and everything that happened this year. So just again, so everybody, there's a pinned comment there for those of y'all.
And it's also partially like where we've rated the other teams. It's like, would I put him better than, you know, like, because if you put him like 89, that's put him ahead of FIFA. Like what?
Okay,
like,
so what would you put him as?
I got to put him like maybe 83.
83. Okay. Now Shifty, you obviously we know Otter had its teammates kind of left him multiple times, and you know everything about Otter. So Shifty, talk to me.
I've played with him for a long time since Verdansk, and especially this year. I think for a period of time he was one. They were the best trio. Jace, Mayapo, and Otter, and those Twitter tournaments. This was when the audio thing was like the audio cheese, right? This is like that was when they were.
Audio cheese.
Had it. I mean, but they were the best trio for a period of time, and I don't want to say it was just because of the audio. It definitely helped. I do think no one like they were one of the only ones that had it. Maybe like 2 other teams had it. I have a crazy clip, bro. I was like crouching, and he heard me from so far away. Like, but that team, I think they clicked. Like, with Otter, May, of course. I mean, guys are literally blood, so they're always a good duo no matter what. And then with Jace, he was really good at sniping. So this was the MCPR meta. With the one-shot snipers, he was very good. Otter's a strong 2v2 player. I think the reason why he gets like overlooked though is because he's quiet. He always needs someone that's maybe a little bit louder, a little more like a leader type player. But I have him at like an 87, 86. I'd say 86 because he didn't make it to LAN. But I do think his situation is the reason why he didn't get to LAN. Which was, you know, kind of my whole thing with all the teams. Once I had jumped, another team jumped, and Key was just unfortunately the one that got left out. And then I believe Jason ended up leaving him too, which left. I don't even know who he played LCQ with. But Otter's a great player. He's just a little too quiet, I think. I wish he talked a little more and would just like, I don't know, just be loud a little bit. But he's a great player. I have him at 86, and I love playing with that guy.
Okay, cool. Ebatez.
Yeah, before Mayapo left his team for Soka, I mean, dude, that trio was insane. And Otter was super, super consistent. Him and Mayapo are just crazy. They've been super consistent through all the Verdansk or Warzone titles. But I think an 87 is definitely like a good way to sum up his year. He obviously didn't qualify for LAN, but again, like I think his circumstance is so different because both his teammates left him. So he ended up playing with Prospect and I think Solidify for like LCQ, which that's not a great roster. So like I said, it just sucks. Like given his situation, I think an 87 is definitely fair.
Okay. All right. Now let's move on to Lennon. What do you think about Lennon?
Dude, Lennon is insane. I actually didn't realize how good Lennon is. To sum up his year, I mean, I'd say like 89 is probably where I got him. Mm-hmm. And yeah, because I have FIFA at 91, I think 89 is fair. But he is insanely talented. Love his energy. Excited to see, next year what he does.
Okay, Shifty.
That's my boy right there, bro. That's my EU guy. I want to put him at a 90. Okay. I think he's a solid 2v2 player. He's a solid, just his personality. When you compete with him, he's a competitor. He wants to win. He knows how to win. I'm not too sure of the LAN performance. I don't want to say they got top 10, but they did, they were struggling until their win. So I don't know. I don't really know.
Like 48.
Yeah,
They were at
I heard he was
45th. They were at 45th
Yeah.
and bumped all the way to like 7th, which is crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, and I knew that some teams, like the top EU teams, were landing on the top NA team just because the first 2 stages, the other region wasn't there. So I don't know exactly how that happened, because I think of like their trio as like a top 5. I think Lennon has so much passion. He's very good. I had to put him at a 90 just because of that. He's a very good. He's an all around good player. He loves to play, and I had to put him at a 90. I just wish they did better, like more consistent in the World Series and in the LAN, because I believe in both stages. I don't care. They won both. That shit that happened. I know Lennon. I know he wasn't trying to do anything.
Won both stages.
Yeah, I know that Lennon wasn't trying to do something against the rules on purpose. I think they're dominant. And whatever team Lennon on is going to be dominant. Just that LAN performance kind of sucked, fortunately.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. They you can't deny these guys. They are disgusting, bro. They got back-to-back first places in their region. I get it. I understand. It was EU. I totally.
But still difficult to do. It's a battle royale.
Yes.
So, end of the day.
They didn't place that well. What did they place in the finals?
Like 9th, right? 10th?
They got 10th.
Yeah, 9 to 11, somewhere around there. Which again, it's not complete bad, but again, it's still pretty damn good. With other people placing, for example, Aiden, they placed first, and what did they place? Second, right? First, second, and then in
14th or 16th.
Yeah, in LAN. So, Jagar, what do you think about Lennon, man?
89 as well. I think we're all kind of around the same number there. Yeah, I think he's really good. I think they performed pretty consistent throughout the 2 stages, and they did in the final. I don't really know too much about his 2v2s, but I think overall he's just a pretty solid player that's been pretty solid for a while now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about Breadman, man. Breadman, we're going to talk about this again. In my opinion, Breadman is the best keyboard and mouse player in the game right now. And if you disagree, you are faded. What do y'all, Jagar, what do you think?
So I actually went a little bit higher than both you and Diaz for it. I put it at 93, and some people might think that's faded, but like you said, he is the best keyboard and mouse player. He was a top fragger on LAN. They had consistent tournament all the way through, and I think he's just too damn consistent, at everything.
Yes. That
there's not really any weaknesses other than he's playing on the wrong peripheral, and even then he's still pretty good. So I put him right at 93.
Okay. All right. It's Shifty.
Yeah, he's the best keyboard player, hands down, easily. Especially doing it this year, where I thought no one on keyboard would be that good. He showed that it did not matter what input, and he was the only one, in my opinion, on keyboard that showed that. So that means he's just levels ahead on that input.
Also
I
got second in the solo YOLO.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was insane. But Brett also, he is always been super consistent in those solo YOLOs, which is insane. I think he won one in the Caldera, a 15K. I mean, that was Caldera though. But I have him at a 90. Basically, I just wish he was played more 2s. I don't think he played a lot of 2s this year. I could be mistaken, but in terms of customs, that guy is got to be one of the best IGLs, best sniper shot. When it's a sniper meta, I mean, I think he was really the one that made the signal, in that stage 2. That's what brought a lot of attention to it, was because of what he was doing with it.
That team.
That whole entire team, but more so Brett, in my opinion. I think he was popping everybody. He popped us a couple times, and it's he's just a great player. I think he's IGL that roster, and he always top frags on that roster. That's another thing that's just I rate him very high, especially doing that on keyboard. So I have him at 90. I'll put him 91. I'll put him 91 for that, because he's on 91. Keyboard. That's hard to do. I know I couldn't fucking do that.
Okay. All right. Ebatez.
I got Brett at a 93.
Okay.
I think, dude, he had a really consistent year. And again, I think backing off of what J-God said, they were probably one of the only teams that was consistent through stage 1, stage 2, and and LAN. I think they got 6th, 3rd or something, and then 3rd or I don't even know. But they did super consistent top 10 finishes in all stages. So, and I think he's easily the best player on that team. Probably one of the smartest IGLs in the game, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, I think
for sure.
I'm gonna put him at 91. I'm gonna bump up mine. I think definitely again, best keyboard mouse player, in my opinion. Again, okay, another player right here that I'm going to take off. Again, when we were making these ratings, Crinks did not play enough to be, obviously this guy lives here. This guy does not play at all enough for this tournament, obviously personal reasons. But next year, this man going go crazy. So I'm gonna go ahead and take Crinks off of this one. So Smitty, J-God.
I think Smitty is very good. You have him right around 90. I think I put him at 91.
91.
I think like we saw it where he was actively, I think, gaining more confidence throughout the year, but also like he had better opportunities to do well.
Okay.
And I think there was players that when you knew you were running up against him, you kind of like respected him as a player. I don't know. I felt like that's the way players felt when we were watching.
Okay.
Yeah, 91.
Okay. All right, Shifty.
I have to give him the same rating as Aiden, 89.
Okay.
I just, because of the 2v2, like the lack of 2v2s, like I'm putting all year into this. I think if it was just customs, he's above 90 easily. I think he's one of the most important parts of a roster that he's been on. He's really good at fragging. He's a guy that, you know, he's when he's on, especially in 2s too, which is why I wish he would have played more 2v2s. And I know he quit for a while, which is why I can't give him above a 90. I rate him super high though in customs. He's a great player. I've even talked to him, and you know, I'm not gonna say anything about that, but I would, if I needed to, if I wanted to, I would compete with him. He's a great player.
Okay, cool. 89, right?
Yeah, 89.
Ebatez, talk to me.
So this might be a surprise, but I think it's not fair to put Smitty all that high this year. And again, I think he's kind of in the same situation as Evan, where like he kind of just like quit and then like kind of came back, whatever. I don't think there's enough of an argument to put him in the 90s. I'm going to put him at like an 85.
Okay.
Now, Caldera Smith, different story. We're talking one of the best in the game, you know, 95, you know, whatever. But I don't think it's fair to put him above some of these other guys who had a successful, super successful year. Like I said, obviously, I don't think Smith had a bad year. Obviously, we came super short at LAN, but I just don't think he played enough. He quit for like 6 months, so I don't think he played enough in order to give the valid argument that he's like a 90.
Yeah, and that just so you guys know,
I can agree. I might lower mine. I'll go to 89 off of that.
Okay, just so you guys are aware, that is his teammate saying that. So okay.
No,
So
yeah, I mean,
yeah, let's look, bro. A lot of y'all been fucking giving eBay shit, but I'm gonna keep it $150. If there's anybody in this call that ain't gonna sugarcoat shit, it's gonna be eBay. I'm just gonna say that, bro. He's probably the one that's the most brutally honest, bro. But,
Betrayal in the chat.
but eBay, tell me about Adrian, man. Adrian, talk to me.
dude, Adrian he was a dog this year. This was definitely his year.
Yep.
He's like a 94 in my opinion. He was cooking in the 2s.
Holy shit. Okay.
He was playing really well all year, man. So I got a lot of respect for him. And I know they came up short at LAN, which again, if he did better at LAN, you know, could have put him in like a 96 or whatever. But dude, to get first and second in stages, also win a lot of 2v2s and basically play with like a bunch of different people and cook up. I mean, he had a really good year. Him and Jace were frying in 2v2s. So
can we say this? You know, I mean, it'd be pretty cool if we had a rookie of the year. I think if Pullze Check had an award for rookie of the year, Adrian takes the Pullze Check rookie of the year. Fuck it, I'm gonna make him a trophy, bro. I'm gonna make him a trophy, bro. He takes the rookie of the year for sure. That man it went demon mode. But yeah, so yeah, go ahead and cook, JD. Shifty, talk to me.
Yeah, he's rookie of the year easily. I actually played with Adrian in the start for customs this year because I didn't really have a team, so it was a pickup team between me, Oki, and Adrian, and you could tell that like he was a really good just like fragger. He knew how to get the kills. He was just in that 2v2 mindset, like that mindset of 2v2s. And I always knew. I think I even told him, I was like, bro, like if you just learn how to play a custom right, you're gonna be a dog. He was he was the only person I think this year that reverse swept me and Soka in the finals of a tournament. Like died. I can't believe I got reverse swept. Me and Soka had a dominant year of 2s, and we lost to them. And I mean, it was in a quick 4-0 fashion, and I rated that super high because that was a time where me and Soka were not losing, we were dominating, and that Jace and Adrian duo were insane. And I do think he was the better one on that team. I rate Adrian super high. I have to give him like a 92. mainly because of that LAN performance. I think he was one of the best 2v2 players and also improved the most in customs this year because I played with him like when he just turned 18. So I played with him right when he was eligible, and you could tell he needed some things to work on, and then turn around to at the end of the year. I mean, that guy was a dog.
Okay. All right. What do you think? What do you overall rating?
92.
92. Okay.
I put the same rating. I put 92.
92. Okay.
For a lot of the same reasons they listed. Obviously, he was barely able to compete, so he obviously missed out on the first portion of the year. He barely made the cut for World Series of Warzone rosters, but he worked out obviously with the two other really good players that worked out, and I think he'll just continue to improve as they go on.
Yeah, I think for me, I can't really rank. I can't rank him seeing it now, right? As the same as Rated and Aiden. So I'm gonna go ahead and bump him up to a 91. Adrian, obviously, I think it's not. Nobody can disagree. He was the best player on that team, and I really hope to see that man go insane when movement comes back into the game. So we'll see. Again, so now, boys, J God, talk to me about Rated, man.
I went 90. I think it's very comparable where he's at with Aiden. I think they are very good. That's good they came back together because it kind of worked out.
Yeah.
But in general, I think he puts in the time. He's a good player, and I think it's just they each do their role pretty well on how they play, and he's a 90 overall, I think.
Okay. All right, Shifty.
Shit, none of those guys, huh? You know what I'm saying? I have him at 92, like a 90, 90.
90,
he was good at 2v2s. It was him and Scummin. They got like third, and I think they took a couple. And then customs. I always say, bro, his downfall is that composure. Yeah, I heard through the grapevine that's kind of what happened at LAN. And they were really good though. Like the stage 1 and stage 2, they were super consistent. They were a team I did not think were going to be that good. And I think that Aiden and Rated duo is like really strong. It always will be. They just underperformed on LAN.
Yeah.
But he's a solid player. I mean, he's had the CDL background. He knows how to play the game, knows how to win. I just think he's another one of those people that is a very specific type of person. And if you can click with him, then you can compete at a very high level. And I would love to know why that LAN performance or like that placing, because they went
the way they did.
They went from first to second to a huge drop out of the top 10.
Okay. All right. So what would you give him a rating if you had to?
90.
90. Okay. Ebatez.
Yeah, I got rated at a 91, and I think him and Scummin were doing really, really well in the 2v2s early, and I think they were like a top 2v2 team, and also again his placings and customs was always super, super consistent. Probably one of the better IGLs. I did hear, again, same thing as Shifty. Like I don't really know exactly what happened at LAN, but I did hear about like just some disagreements or whatever, composure or something. But very talented player. 91 seems fair.
81. Okay. Again, I want to reiterate to a lot of people in the chat. I said this at the beginning, but I know we have a lot more people in here. Chat. Like people keep saying, guys, we don't have everybody in here. This is the baseline, and we will be adding people. So don't worry. Yes, your favorite streamers, everybody will be on this list. Again, this was just like, at the start. Don't worry.
Are we missing anyone that's should be in here?
Yeah, like Wars, Vision, all of these guys are definitely people that competed that should be in here. Yeah, Prodigy. But again, we will be adding everybody, guys. Don't worry. This is just the
also.
basic.
There's a lot of people that are just really talented players that just do not compete.
Yeah. A lot of people. Don't worry. Like we will add everybody, guys. This is the first of many of these. Okay. So let's go now. Noobs. What are you guys thinking? J God.
I put Noobs as like a 93. I know it's higher than your guys' ratings.
Okay.
I think he just drops too many damn kills, and he's a vital part of that team. I know he gets kind of overlooked because of how good Allman is and how much of an IGL title Tommy has, but I think he is an all-around like good fit on his team. And even when you go back to previous years before he went with them, he was part of the winning teams with Huskers as well. So it's like he's a solid core piece that like could probably go to any team, and he's gonna do his thing.
Yeah. Again, on that team, Eddie can go to any other team and be top fragger for his team, and he gets overlooked because of the team that he's on, because they're all 3 demons. Great guy too. Just throwing that out there. But Shifty, talk to me.
I thought this was Noob's year in terms of like the TBE, like the team that he's on. You know, you have a lot of superstars on that roster. I thought he was the best one on that roster this year, most consistent. You know, I think it's kind of weird. People don't see Noobs as like the dog of the team, but he is. And he frags out everywhere. Vondel, 2v2s, he's always solid. I don't think he played like a lot of 2s this year. I don't know exactly. I have him, because of how I'm going to rate his teammates, I have him as a 93.
Okay. 93. All right. And Ebatez, what do you think about him?
So midway through the year, actually, TBE was like struggling. Like, I don't know if anybody really remembers. They were struggling. I know there was a time where even there was rumors Almond was leaving. So dude, I know they didn't really have a great year as, you know, in comparison. So I'm going to put Noobs a little bit lower just because of that. We kind of have to think about the whole year, not just how they finished. Obviously they finished strong. And so I got Noobs about an 89. But again, that's just because I'm thinking about the grand scheme of like the entire year. Like I said, they struggled, and I know there was some crazy rumors that Almond, or, you know, there was like a split, you know, TBE was going to split, which is insane. So
yeah,
actually, let me bump mine down low key.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 91.
91?
Yeah, that, because I do remember that they were
struggling.
It was kind of weird. It was weird
No,
to see TBE.
They really were struggling. They really were
92.
struggling. Yeah. You're going to lower yours too? Okay, hold on.
Just a 92.
Okay.
92.
I forgot about that, bro. There was some tournaments where they were just
They finished strong for sure. I mean, obviously they got third and they almost got second at LAN, but
yeah.
they were struggling.
Now, Juki's Ebatez, what you think about him? Obviously, they had an incredible performance, which he top fragged, I think it was at stage 1, and then LAN in stage 2, or was it, might have been, I'm trying to recall.
Vision SR was frying. That guy was cooking.
Was that stage 1?
I think it was both. Whatever.
Really?
The attorneys at home, that guy was cooking.
Braxton said EU still sucks.
That guy was frying. Nah, Juki's I'd say is easily like a 90, 91. He had a really good year, 2v2s and everything. Him and Leonard were eating. And I know they also did really good in the all EU tourneys. I think, you know, again, Ashika, and then there was like a couple all EU tourneys they did really good. So I'd say 91 is definitely where I put Jukes.
91. All right, bet. Now let's do what's it called? That's Shifty. What are you thinking?
I think Juki's, he played with FIFA, right, in those tournaments, Ebatez, the Ashika ones. Was that the duo?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. They definitely ran the EU side this year. I rate Juki super high. I think he's like that EU guy, bro, that just like always shows up for the big ones. Like whether it's been this year, other years. I know we're only going off of this year, so I'm gonna put Juki's at like a 92.
Okay.
I think he was one of the stronger EU players this year, and like people kind of thought, you know, Unk lost it, but then he came out in the stages. He's always been good at 2v2s on the EU side of things too. He's just super strong player too, and I like competing with him. I think he makes it fun. I have him at 92 for sure.
Okay. J God.
I have him at 91 on my list here. I think for all the reasons they mentioned, I think obviously he ends up been running EU for a while there with basically you only got like 3 or 4 guys at the top there.
Yeah.
I know it sounds maybe disrespectful in some ways, but it's basically the 4 guy, he's in there. So it kind of easily moves him to the top. I think he had performed. They ended up winning a game even on LAN, even though their overall net performance wasn't great throughout. It wasn't consistent in the final. But all the tournaments leading up to, and I know, like they said, he runs 2v2 tournaments pretty well as well.
Okay, cool. So what about Tommy?
I put Tommy at 92. I kind of put that whole team. It's
92.
kind of hard to differentiate who's like better or worse on the team because they complement each other so well. But what I do know is Tommy, in other tournaments where he has had different teams, he makes his teammates better. So is it kind of like it's really hard to rate them like in a vacuum individually?
Yeah.
So I kind of rated them all around the same for that reason. But I think they can go up and down slightly. But it's really hard to not rate them around the same because they really do complement each other really well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they that team's almost perfect, bro. Shifty, what do you think about Tommy?
Tommy, I mean, I think right now, I think everyone will agree on this, that he's the best IGL we've had in Warzone so far. I think that could, of course, change in the next couple of years, but I know Tommy had a lot of issues with like the visas and like he wasn't playing as much, like he wasn't grinding. So for that, I had to put him at a 90. I think he's a strong player in any mode. I do know that TBE though they did not have the best Vondel showings. I don't think they've ever really been like a good rebirth team or resurgence team, but for sure I rate Tommy's IGLing. I think that's someone that I kind of mimicked when it came to my IGLing alongside like other players like Soka, and I just think this year he wasn't able to play as much because he had other things going on. So that's why his rating's a little low.
Okay. All right. And what about you, Ebatez?
Yeah, I think it's crazy to say that, like, you know, even putting Tommy at like a 91 it feels low. So that just kind of speaks to like the kind of player that he's been. But yeah, I think a 91 is where I'd put him. I think he still had a solid year, even given all the BS that he had to go through, which is just insane. So I got a lot of respect for Tom. And yeah, I think 91 is definitely fair for the year.
Okay, cool. Now, J-God, Skullface, Mr. Scully.
Actually went a little bit higher. I put 93.
Okay.
I feel like it's kind of one of those things that they've just been consistent from year to year. And for whatever reason, he's kind of one of these like players that continues to go under the radar. But I think a lot of players respect who he is. It's just like, why don't more people know him type thing, even though they literally win stuff. They placed pretty well. I think it was third, right? With Hisoka's team. And then they won the previous World Series of Warzone. And then he won the solo YOLO. I don't know much about his 2v2 side though. Like if he even does a bunch of those, I don't feel like. Yeah. Maybe I don't know. I think that's the only
one that played them all.
But I know he's nasty.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I put him.
93. Okay, Shifty.
Yeah, I got him at 93.
Okay.
I've competed with him since Dansk. Our Triple S roster in this year was, you know, myself, Soka, and Skull. For one, Skull is actually really good at twos. He's one of the only players that, like I said, has beaten me and Soka when we're like, you know, running through teams. Skull's our kryptonite. We always say it. That guy, something about him. He's dropping 30, 40s against us to beat us. Me and Soka were really hard on him when we played customs. He's one of the best snipers ever. I think at Warzone scene. He is super smart. I mean, this was before you could actually do this. Like the gas plays, like the deployable cover. Like I think Skull like created that, bro. That's his thing. He's one of the best players I've ever played with in terms of customs and twos. I have him at 93. I mean, he won the solo YOLO, which I know people say that's all luck. I don't think that it's all luck. The way that Skull played it was perfect. I don't think a lot of people would have even shot those two guys with the ride shield. And that takes that confidence to do that. He initiated that. And he earned that 100K. They got second at LAN, and he was a big part of that roster. I want to say if he didn't top frag, he got second top frag.
I think he top fragged the team. He top fragged his team.
He was insane. That like on LAN, he was insane. And that's I mean, there's a lot of pressure on LAN, and he rose up, bro. And I mean, I don't think anyone's ever beating that 127,000 he made in one day. Like, he's a goat, bro.
Yeah. Okay, Ebatez, talk to me.
I think, and this might sound crazy, I think Skull's like one of those guys that you could easily put at the top of this list had he had more reps in twos. Like I think he knows that he can play twos, but he only played like a few. I think like Shifty was saying, he got third in that one that he played. And other than that, I mean, he just didn't like him.
He stopped playing.
Yeah, he doesn't like him.
Yeah.
He is honestly, in my opinion, one of the most insane players in the game. There's a reason he's on a team with, you know, Soka, Shifty, and then Soka and Mayapo. And there's a reason that Soka never left him, right? Because he knows how good he is. So I think a 90, dude, I want to put him at a 94. I think, like I said, he would even be higher had he just played more twos and, you know, showed out in the 2v2s. But dude, yeah, what a year for him, man. And it's crazy to see how like he will win and he won't really say anything about it, which is just insane to me. So
yeah, I think I'm gonna be honest, I was probably a little too critical on Skullface, given everything that he's done. I'm probably gonna bump him as well to a 93. Oh shit, 3. Yeah, that man's obviously, again, I agree with you, Shifty. It is theatrical, solo YOLO, but it definitely does require some level of skill. Some, right? I still believe. Get the solo YOLO out of there.
Involved, but yeah.
No,
get solo YOLO out of there.
If you really do go watch the solo YOLO, you'll watch him play it and you'll be like, wow, he played this perfectly. And that's not just like a luck thing. If you go watch the way that he played it.
Like, I just don't think a lot of people are going to shoot those guys with ride shields. Like they're going to wait. And I tipped that because like, dude, I just know like that was how he won it. That was how he won. That was the easiest, not the easiest, but that was the play and he made it. And Skull is like one of those guys that he will make those plays.
Yeah. So let's move to Almond. J-God, what's your thoughts?
Like I said, I have him at 92 as well. Okay. Kind of in line with all the other. It's really hard to differentiate Whereas we had some other teams where I was like, hey, you know what? That's clearly the best player on that team. Like we saw with Breadman's team or even Destroy's team. I felt like Destroy's the best player on that team. I think this case, it's really hard to do that. So, yeah. 92.
Okay. Shifty.
Is it possible to give people half points?
I was thinking the same thing, but nope.
Yeah, because up here it gets really like critical.
I feel like him and Noobs are like the exact same. I just would give Ben like a little bit of an edge. So I'm gonna stick with
92 then.
Like 92, but I really don't think Ben had the year that he should have. In the grand scheme of things, I do think that roster struggled with the resurgence and also in 2v2s. But Ben is a very smart, very good player, very consistent player too. You know what you get out of him. And I mean, one of the eFuse tournaments that we had like a 90-point game to win, he was, I believe, top fried to like 20-something kills in a custom. So I mean, he's a very good player. I think he could have had a better year if he took maybe resurgence and then 2v2 series, more serious.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, Ebatez.
I got Ben at a 90, and yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say about that. I think him, Tommy, and Noobs are kind of all in the same area, but I do think Tommy, for me, is at the top of that list for that team.
Okay. All right. 90. Okay. Now let's move over to Sage. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, this top 5, right? I don't think they're like, in my opinion, this is going to move too much, but I will say Sage. I think Sage is like incredible. But the reason, just want to say why I put him at a 93 is because Sage still has things to work on. Sage is him. And I think, this might sound weird, but I think this year might be the worst year of his like going for the next couple years. I think this next year, especially with movement, this guy made it seem like Warzone 2 had movement when I would watch him. I think if he gets, I've had this conversation with him, if Sage gets more disciplined, this guy could be, I think any one of these top 5 can be the best next year, no matter what. And Sage is young, and in my opinion, he's only going to get better. But the reason why I didn't put him as high is because he still has a little bit more work to do. But natural talent, this man is incredible. But again, I think he just needs a little bit of work, and I see him next year being one of the like in top 3 without a doubt. So Jay, go ahead.
I went 92. I think it's kind of hard to rate because obviously I think especially when it came to the World Series of Warzone, like everyone had their clearly defined role, and sometimes the stats don't always match up with what the person's doing. Because if he's the entry person, there's more than likely he's going to make a bad push because you guys have flares or whatever the case. So you end up with more deaths and less kills, and you're often regaining. So I think it's really hard in those scenarios and customs because of his role to necessarily outshine his teammates that were obviously pretty good too. So it's kind of one of those things that I didn't put him higher because of that impacts it a little bit. So
yeah.
So I put him at 92.
Yeah, I mean, so just so everybody's aware, like Sage, what was the kills, Shifty? It was 41, you 40, and then him 38.
It was 44, 43, 38.
Yeah. So and which is 1, 2, and 3 of the World Series of Warzone, and then not to mention that they won 4 out of 5 of the Vondel tournaments.
There was a lot. Yeah, they were cooking on a lot of different things.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard. I don't know how he does in 2v2s either.
Oh, he was, dude. Him at 2v2s, Sage.
So maybe I'll go 93. I'll still go 93.
Pubs Sage is different, bro. Because like, quote unquote, Sage's kryptonite is in customs certain overchalling sometimes. So in bot lobbies, you need somebody that's like flying at everything, and that's how he is. So that man is disgusting in my opinion. Shifty, obviously your teammate.
Yeah, played with him for the last 2 months, pretty much for customs. He's a great 2-2 player. I played against him. It was him and Avail, me and Soka. That was literally every fucking finals. We did get the better hand of them, but he was always a great 2-2 player. We always knew we were gonna play him in finals. So that says a lot. And I have to give him a 93 because I think out of the 3 of us on our roster, he has the most he has a higher. I don't know how to word it.
Skill ceiling.
The skill ceiling, because he is sometimes a little, tunnel, and he knew that was his problem with the tunnel visioning. But I think if he did, and he will, I'll fucking make sure of that. he could potentially be one of the best custom players. He does have the hardest role in the team, I think. I played that role. If you are not winning your ones, the scoreboard will show that you're ass. Like that's just kind of how it is. It's very tough role, harsh on the leaderboard. But then again, I think a big reason of why our score for that World Series was what it was because he was not losing ones and he was popping 2 pieces. And that's something I told him to not do. Do not go for 2 pieces, but like he was just getting them over and over again.
Yeah, even on that day, it was very noticeable. I mean, we mentioned it multiple times that he was on something else that day.
Yeah.
Which that was like peak. But if he does that throughout the year, then he's like a 94, 95, not even higher. But I think, and he definitely had a hard time with like our trio because I was always on him. And, it always seemed like I wasn't saying anything to Biffle and to him. But I mean, clearly he listened, and like when it mattered the most, like it clicked. So I think that's why it's a 93. I think if he bites down a little bit on that hunger to go for more, then he would be an insane player.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, man,
pretty on top of what he is.
It's tricky right here because, like, I think in my opinion, Sage is better than Mayapu. So like, should I, I feel like I should bump him up to 94.
I'm
gonna bump him to 94. Ebates, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think you guys are being a little critical right now on Sage because I know you guys are close with him and you guys know like his weaknesses of his game. But there's only a few players that I have in the top 5 in the entire year, and Sage is definitely one of them. So I put him at a 95, maybe even a 96. I really don't think that. I mean, dude, he had an incredible year. He was winning everything. So, and then also to have that performance in World Series was great. Obviously, they didn't really do too great in the stages, but there's like 3 players I have in the top 5 the entire year, and Sage is definitely one of them.
For sure. I agree with you. I think we're so quick to forget that Sage was quite literally winning everything at the start of the game. Like there wasn't a custom that he didn't win. The only thing that quote unquote hindered him from like people like saying he wasn't that, not want to say that good, but like shed a little bit. He had to shed the spotlight with D and Shifty. So I think that's the only thing that kind of quote unquote, but that doesn't take anything away from him, if that makes sense. He got the Baka bro buff for sure.
I think the part of the other thing that like Ebates is saying is I think obviously with the watch parties, we did watch their team quite a bit. So like we saw probably more footage of their team in general than probably any team. So he's probably right that we are being a little critical.
To be fair, they were winning everything. So,
But like on top of that when mistakes are there, it's more spotlighted because we get to see it. It's not like we just get to see the stat line at the end that they won. We saw the process. It's like if you watch a Red Zone for football and then you'd be like, oh, so-and-so had a great game. But it's like, well, you didn't see them throwing all the interceptions, But if we did see them throw the interceptions, then we can go, oh, yeah, this is where they messed up.
Yeah.
So I think that plays into it.
I think Sage is also in the wrong role of IGLing with his team. I think he was just
before,
way more
right?
valuable.
Yeah.
I mean, like when we came, we tried doing the co-IGLing and like it just didn't work. And we talked about that so quick that like, I think the best thing is if you're just fragging because that's what you're the best at realistically. And I think once he had that pressure taken off of the IGL, he was able just to go rogue, and he had someone like me who was just kind of sitting back and like taking that let him do what he wanted to do. And then we just like kind of like took advantage of that, how good he is at getting that blood. And I think he's the best at fragging. And I think he should have been the fragger on his roster instead of the IGL.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm very, very excited to see him next year. So I guess let's go on over to Mayapu. J-God, talk to me.
I did 91, which I know is going to probably sound low compared to your guys' numbers, maybe. But where I put like Almond, Tommy, and Noobs, and then like Jukies and Skullface, it's kind of like I had to put him lower, so I put him at 91.
Okay, all right. Shifty.
I want to put Mapu at like a 92, only because he had those issues with all the fires and stuff. He took a break. Like he literally, not that he like wanted to take a break, but he had to take a break.
Life.
And I think, literally like life shit. And I think that's like that hindered him towards like the LAN and stuff like that. I don't think, you lose reps. Like when you're not playing weekend, like you're losing reps. And I think Mapo for me has always been a struggle to kill him. That guy's one of the best gunnies out there, fragger. So I think if he didn't have those issues, I think he would be like that 93, 94. but just because he had those, which always sucks to have stuff like that happen, I have him at a 92.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with the 92. I really like that spot for him.
Okay.
Obviously, he was a part of a winning roster pretty much all year, but I just think he didn't really play twos that much. Did good at LAN, but that's about it.
Okay. All right. Now moving on to the top 3 as of right now, right? More than likely, these are going to shake up. So obviously, this is all personal opinion. All of these can be switched. And obviously, when all 3 of you guys give your guys' opinions, we'll kind of go from there. Just want to reiterate something before we get into it. Diaz's 94 rating of himself is he pretty much said, what rating did I give Shifty? And I said 94. He's like, okay, I think me and Shifty are on par with each other. So that's why that's there. And yeah, man, I mean, I'll go over Soka. I think Soka, Diaz, Shifty, Soka are all top 3. Like, I don't think that's a question on who is top 3 as far as them 3. But I don't know, man. I in my opinion, I think Shifty and Diaz, and I really don't think that's biased with how dominant they were at World Series of Warzone, with how many tournaments they won, and Shifty and Diaz were top fragging in every single Volunteer tournament. Soka won 1 of them out of the 5, and the rest of them, they won 4, with Diaz top fragging out of 3 out of the 4. In my opinion, I think I would put them, Soka, right under Shifty and D. So that's my number 1. If anything, which I'll say it now, anything that I would change now is I would probably, it's hard because like Shifty top fragged by 1 kill, but in my opinion, Shifty had the greatest improvement out of anybody in this list. I think Shifty, and I'm not saying that just because this year, I've said this multiple times, Shifty had the greatest improvement out of everybody in the game. In the first whatever the fuck 5 Vondo tournaments that they played, Diaz was top fragging for 3 of them. Shifty top fragged, I think, on the last one or the second to last one that they won. And then he got top fragged by 1 kill. It is 1 kill, but I think Shifty, in my opinion, is number 1. And you could say Shifty number 1, Diaz number 1, but that's just in my opinion because of his leaps and bounds that he made to the top. That's what again, my top 3. Again, I still think Diaz and Shifty, like if I have to give Diaz a 95, I'd give Shifty a 95.5. And then Soka, I do think he is a 94. Soka did fucking amazing. But I think obviously near the end, they did struggle a little bit. Struggle, when we say struggle, we're comparing them to fucking Diaz and Sage and Shifty, right? Like that team. And then, so that's kind of my opinion. I mean, J-God, go ahead and you can start with Soka. I just wanted to give you guys my opinion on top 3.
I kind of almost got to do all 3 because like, you have to use the argument when you're comparing them.
Yeah.
I feel like how I would put it is I put Hisoka and Biffle pretty much even as like arguably the best 2 players, in my opinion. From watching how they perform with different players, whatever they do, it's almost annoying sometimes watching Biffle. Like I know you play with him and stuff, so maybe you don't really like watch him like that, or maybe you do. I don't know, but like you watch him, it's annoying how good he is at the game, in every aspect, So it's kind of weird to watch that way. And then for Shifty, I would put him like a 94.5. Like if I had a half. Yeah. Since I can't have halves, I'm gonna say 94.
For Soka or Shifty?
No. Hisoka's 95.
Okay, Soka
I put
95.
Shifty at 94 and Biffle at 95. So 94. I put them as the top 2 players, and then Shifty's like a 94.5.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I see the top 3 players currently.
Okay, so I guess Shifty, let's go over Soka first.
Yeah, I mean, I've competed with him since Verdansk. That guy is different when it comes to competing. I know the time, like I know all the behind the scenes shit, which is maybe why I'm gonna be like my rating will be what it is, because I know that whatever roster he's on, that's gonna be a winning team. He comes with that winning mentality. He's gonna make you do more, which is almost annoying because I hated playing this game. I hated pubs, and he was like on my ass to like, you gotta play more. Like he'll be the first one to call you out when you're not playing well. He holds you to that standard, like champion level. For me, just because I'm not rating anybody like 99. I probably won't rate anybody above a 95. I'm gonna give him the 95. I think he actually no. I'm gonna do 94 because 94. Sorry. Mainly just because the land. Like that's it. Like I think if he won it, that guy would be like the back to back. Like
Yeah.
GOAT. He just super. He can do it all pretty much. He can anchor. He can IGL. He can top frag. Like he can do all of that shit. And I know what he does behind the scenes, which is why I think, in my opinion, I think he's one of the best. Like fucking neck and neck with D.
Yeah.
I have to rank them both, I guess, at the same time. I'll give D a 95, only because I knew D was good. Like I did. I just didn't think he was that good. And I was like glazing, that's your teammate. Like no, literally, like I didn't have like problems with him. Like I never had to tell him you weren't doing this, you weren't doing that. The only thing I told D was that you're like kind of quiet, but with our team it worked. You didn't need to talk. I think D is as close to a perfect player as I've only played with. But then again, it's only like 2 months, right? So I always said I want to see him do bad. Like I want to see I want him to be like, you know, have that one day where I'm like, oh, it's all good, bro. It's just off day. And I know like if you play with someone for a year versus 2 months, you know, you're gonna have more off days in the year than you are with the 2 months. But he's super good. As close to a perfect player besides maybe Soka that I've played with so far.
Okay. All right. So let's go Ebates, kind of conclude.
Yeah. So I think you guys are kind of looking at this wrong. Like I think like as far as a talent thing, you know, Diaz, I think obviously is great. But I will make the argument that nobody had a better year than Soka. And I think even earnings will speak for that. I'm sure he is probably number 1 for Warzone 2 earnings. And I will say at the beginning of Warzone 2, I don't even know if I had Diaz in like my top 5 as far as like the beginning of Warzone 2. I know I had Sage, I know I had Shifty, I know I had Soka in the top 5. Obviously, I think Biffle now is in the top 5, you know, near the end of Warzone 2. But I don't think anybody had a year like Soka. I'm going to give him a 96 because I did put Sage at 95. I do think Sage just about had a similar year as Soka, but I do think Soka was a little bit more.
So Soka 96?
Consistent. Yeah.
Okay.
And
then Diaz,
I have Biffle under Sage. I think Sage had a better year than Biffle. So I'm going to put Biffle at like a 94.
Okay. All right. And then what would you have Shifty at?
You can kind of just include Shifty with like the whole, I mean, I'm going to say that Shifty had a better year than Skullface because obviously he won the LAN. So I'm going to put Shifty at a 95.
95. Okay. 95.
But I will and the reason I'm saying that is because if you look at the entire year, Soka was winning a lot more. Obviously they won World Series, the LAN, but you can't discount Soka for getting second. I mean, granted, it's like first and second. I'm not saying it's the same, but that's one tournament versus the entire year.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So
Chat's
Dude,
funny.
chat's going crazy. I mean,
are they?
they're going crazy. Like, go look at the earnings list. Go look at everything. I mean, you guys can see.
Yeah.
So okay. Now it's kind of the truth where we find out who's you know after 5 people ranking. But here's the deal. We have an issue here. We need the 5th Shifty vote, right? So I'm not too sure. What do you guys think is the best way to do this? Because we have 194, 195, 194, 195. I mean,
You can put 94 and a half. It doesn't matter. That's the average of our scores, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because you had 94.5 for your guys' rating. So you could just actually put that in and it'll average it out
Okay.
to
All right.
90.4.5.
So let's okay. Chat. I don't know Excel that good. How?
What are you trying to do?
So I want to move this average of both off over here, right? And because it needs to be average of all of 5 of these, and then
right click the E.
Right click the E. Boom. Okay.
And then you should have I can't edit the list. Let me see.
Save first. They said save first. Hold on. File. Oh shoot.
Where is it at?
Doesn't it automatically save?
No, you can. No, it won't do it that way. Okay, you can just delete that column.
I delete average of both. Okay.
You can delete the column in between it.
Now.
And the D column as well.
So delete this. So we're gonna do delete column, right? All of E.
Yep. All D.
All of D as well. Delete column. Okay.
Okay. You can delete the D column as well.
Okay. Delete column. Okay.
Okay. And then.
Okay.
Go to the box below that.
This one.
And then go to that little button that looks like an E right above that.
The button that looks like an E.
It's the end of the little clicks. It's all the way on the right side.
Where's that? Wait, where? Oh, this thing right here. Functions.
Yes. Okay. And then click average.
Average. Okay, got it.
And then highlight from Diaz's rating all the way to Ebatez's rating.
How do I highlight it?
Just click on Diaz and just scroll to the right. Like hold it, control.
Oh, there it is.
Hold
there it
control.
Is.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
control.
Then go hold control. There you go.
And now what?
And then press enter.
Here we go.
I'm
in the truth. Oh shit. Nah, y'all are there.
And then you grab that. You go Control C on that 94.6.
Control C. Oh shit.
Oh, there it goes. You can just click that little box. It'll do it.
Fuck,
the little check.
up.
It's all good. Control C.
Control C.
And then you highlight from the box below it all the way down, and you can do Control V.
Here. Control.
Yep. All the way down. To right there, and then Control V.
And then how do I rate sort between highest to lowest?
All right. So you got to go from Diaz's name.
Okay. All right. Diaz's
name. And then
name.
you got to go diagonally all the way to the bottom right number.
Control or no?
No, you don't have to do control.
So just like this, all the way to the bottom
just
right.
Hold click, yeah.
All right, like that.
And then you right click.
Right click.
Then
it
should be under that bottom thing where it says view more actions.
And
then it should be a
range. Sort range.
Yep. And then you got to choose column G.
Sort range. Column G. All right.
And then it's got to be from high to low. So it's got to go from Z to A.
Z to A. Wait, isn't that the opposite?
No, we want the highest. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, so I do like this. Sort. God damn. All right, here we go. Damn.
Bro.
Damn. Okay, so guys, listen, holy shit, this is actually, y'all that know Excel is crazy. Wow.
Bro.
This is, there was definitely some changes, bro. So, again, we have Diaz and Soka tied for first. We have Shifty at third, Sage fourth. I wish I could, I'm pretty sure there's a way to like do this one, right? Label this one.
What do you mean?
Like instead of it being two, can you label it one?
You'd have to add a column. Yes, you can do it.
Shit, I'm too lazy to do all that shit. Or not lazy, but
right click A, add column left.
Add right click A. Shit.
Column left, insert column left. It's like the fifth option.
Insert one column left. Yeah.
Yes. And then you do that little function button again. You do sum.
Okay, here. Then sum.
Oh, no, you can't do that yet. Just go ahead and put one.
One?
In the box next to Diaz.
Oh, like one?
Yeah, enter it just to clear it out. There you go. Right
shit?
there. And then the one below it. No, the box below the one.
Yeah.
You do the sum.
Okay, so is that function?
Yep, function. Yep. Oh my God, you never use Excel.
I've never used Excel.
Yeah, just do sum and then click the one.
Here?
Yeah, where the box above.
Yeah.
There. And then on the keyboard, do +1.
Oh shit. On the keyboard I type +1. +1. And then I gotta fucking fuck. I gotta undeafen. Hold on. Because my deafen is bound to. There you go.
There you go.
All right. Now just enter.
Press enter. And then you do the Control C, Control V again. The same thing you did earlier.
So how do I see?
Yeah, Control C, the 2, and then just go all the way down. Control V, it'll plug in the numbers.
And then do I drag it down? Do I drag it down?
Yeah, well, yeah, you can just do that. You do that and Control V in.
Okay, Control V. Okay. All right. Now we got it. And then I need an overall. There you go. So, all right, this is the rankings list based on 5 people's opinions. Remember, at the end of the day, chat, this is a opinion list. This is not a, you know, if you're a competitor and you don't agree with this, you know, that's fine. This is, you know, our opinions. This is only 5 people out of all the world, right? And then again, if you guys like, if your favorite streamer is not number 1, I'm sorry, but you know what I'm saying? You forgot the E. What does that mean? Overall, yeah, like overall type shit. What does that mean, bro? Over. Yeah. Like, oh, you want me to do the actual? I'll actually do overall. There you go. All right. So I was just trying to be, you know, smart and you know, put it down, bro.
See, if we did an Excel rating, I'd have a 90 or something like that, right? Bro.
So yeah, man. So this is the list of all of us of what we decided. The thing is, I don't know if we should. Diaz and Soka are tied for first right now. So maybe we get a 6th person in here and have them do the whole list to even it out. Unless they say, dude, fine, chat. You guys are
chat vote.
So
you kind of could have do a chat vote, right? Whatever you spam.
Yeah, but then number? That's. I don't know. I feel like that's a clout thing.
Favorite to Biffle, yeah.
And if I'm in here, like if it's my chat, everybody's gonna vote for Diaz. So
for sure,
it's not fair.
Sure.
Which we'll figure out how we do this. But for right now, Soka and Diaz are tied. Shifty is 3rd, Sage 4th, Skullface 5th. You know what? I'll just go down the list and kind of go through this. This is actually a great. I mean, obviously we might be biased, but this is a great fucking list, bro.
We need a Warzone,
well, I think it
like,
is, and people what they really have to like be aware of, because I see the chat like, oh, so and so at 19th or whatever. Yeah. Well, the reality is that might not, like, the numbers are very close. We're talking about 86.2 and 86.4. You know, like they're basically the same number if we're rounding. You know.
To be fair, chat, I invited Soka to be on today. He denied. So just, you know, don't come at me. Don't come at me. I try to make this as, you know, as fair as possible, bro. Leave Symphony alone. All right, listen. If this was who, you know, we're, you know, ranking our bread, Symphony would be at the top. All right.
This was Fortnite. You know what I'm saying? We got to flip the list real quick.
Oh shit, man. So look, guys. Again, this is the baseline to what we have right now. Obviously, we're gonna be adding like a lot of people to this, bro. I stay in the shadows chat. See, he's here. Soka's here, but he could have been in Discord talking with us, but no.
He thinks he's Batman.
Yeah.
He really wants to be Batman so bad.
Right. But no, we're gonna add more people to this. We're gonna get as many competitors on this, and then obviously, boys, all 5 of y'all or all 3 of y'all, I'll be having you guys rank a couple other people based on your guys' opinions, and then I'll update this, and this will be an ongoing thing. Chat, we are calling this the quote unquote Pullze Check. What did I call it? Power Rankings. Pullze Check Power Rankings. And
what you could do is on that bottom left part where it says sheet 1, you can actually double click that.
Okay.
And just put like Warzone ranking, and then you can put the date.
Power Rankings.
So we know exactly when this sheet was made, and then for future ones we can add.
Dude, you're so fucking smart, bro. Dude, I am like a level 4 on Excel, brother. You know? There you go. I like that, bro. Yeah, so this is it's obviously based on our opinion, and the one rule is, in order for like people to actually have this, obviously it's not always going to be Shifty Ebatez, but there needs to be 5 people that are respectable enough to have an opinion on this. Again, this is our opinion. Again, chat, if you guys don't agree, I don't care. It's fine. This is just for fun, for content, and don't take it too serious. All right, don't take it too serious. But boys, listen, man, yo. We did a 3-hour podcast ranking people. I
know.
Holy shit.
It flew by kind of quick, though. I'll say, obviously, it was 50 people, and I think it would have been disrespectful to spend like too short a time on any individual, especially if we're getting raids. Because there's obviously reasons behind each of the things too.
You can't just rank someone not say why, and it's like, well, you're just hating.
Yeah, exactly.
I try to give detailed, explanations of why.
Can I take this off and put rank, or will it fuck it up?
Nope, you're good.
Okay.
I got the Biffle stands in my chat right now going crazy, bro.
Shit,
I didn't know he had an army. My bad, gang. Like, my bad.
Oh, brother, trust me, Diaz's army is crazy, bro.
Oh, the Biffle army goes insane.
You play with D and you fuck up, bro. They're on your ass, bro.
Yeah, no.
All right.
So now we gotta do the ranking without cheats. No, I'm playing.
Look, man, look. This ranking system, I think, is pretty. Oh yeah, listen. I don't know, chat. Listen, again, I know Mayapu's name is wrong and Symphony's name is wrong. I didn't make this. I didn't put the names down. All right. It was my boy Boogie, bro. How do I spell Symphony? Sim and then like oh shoot,
funny
like that with double N, I think, like that. Like that, I think.
Something like that.
Sim with double H or double N. I
don't know how to spell his name.
I guess legit. It's one. All right,
just
Symphony.
Put Sim, bro. Just SYM. Keep it easy.
SYM. You know what? Fuck it, bro. All right. I'll leave it at that. I swear to God, I did not put Symphony. I swear I didn't, bro. They're thinking I'm throwing shots at Sim. I'm not. I promise, bro. All right, so this will be going forward. This will be quote unquote the Warzone power or Pullze Check Power Rankings, and we'll be updating this after every tournament. And obviously, we'll have a lot of podcasts on this. And again, I love the debates. I love that you guys don't agree with some of them. I love that you guys do agree with them, man. And so we'll be updating this. And again, for those of you, if you guys know anybody who's not in this, I will have them DM me, and that way we can do it and we can have them in here, okay? But boys, damn, this was a crazy podcast. It was literally. Hey, 3 hours, bro. Yeah, crazy, bro. Boys, I think that concludes it, man, and we'll continue to update this. But overall, man, how's everybody feeling? And yeah, talk to me, man.
It's a good list, bro.
You guys are all
we're
talking
for each other. Yeah, nah. I think I want to see like how the end of next year will look.
Yeah,
like if it's gonna stay or like. Because there's always another 18-year-old bro that comes through and just like does something crazy.
There's gonna be multiple, I think, with this game too.
Especially with the eligibility, like they weren't able to play Almaz. I know like Rias, like that guy wasn't able to play.
Should have a big year.
So you got Pens who's gonna try and start competing. So you can see some people maybe they climb the ranks or people drop off the ranks.
Yeah,
I think that's what people are more looking forward to see like who is not in the top 5 anymore.
I will say, like, we will add that into this where, like, we add +3, -4, like, based on the rankings, and we'll update this accordingly, right? Again, this is something that we decided to do, and it's just the start. So there will be a learning period, guys. So if there's, some things that don't seem like accurate or whatever, we will adjust. And, I hope to make this really cool one day and just keep adding to it. So, but boys, I appreciate y'all being on the podcast today. We got a lot of more people to add to this. But Ebatez, Shifty, J God, talk to me. Is there anything y'all want to say before we go?
Dude, listen, man, I got a lot on my mind right now. I got the Biffle Glazers in my chat. I can't even concentrate right now. But like, bro, I'm just saying, like, let me say this, bro. The reason I ranked where I ranked people is because we're looking at the entire year. And I know Biffle doesn't grind Twitter tourneys. I know he doesn't grind all the little tournaments. If it's anything under 10K, he's not going to play it. But that's stuff that we have to consider especially for myself when I'm putting my rankings down. So that's all I'll say. Like, don't come at me, because you don't agree with me. That's fine if you don't agree, but that's just basically where I'm coming from if I'm putting my rankings down.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said it. Guys, this are our opinions, and it's not like just because Ebatez doesn't, has an opinion, don't come at him. As far as my community, y'all know we ain't ever about that shit, all right? Now, Diaz's community, that's a different story. Those guys are different, right? So
I'm finding out.
Yeah.
I fucked around and I found out. I can't lie.
I should have said it like I gave him a 92 and it would just bumped up viewership. They would all keep
yeah, I should have said some crazy shit. Hey, you know what? I was being too nice. Biffle's an 84. Oh, it was an 84.
Oh, man. Well, look, boys, let's see how this, changes as the years come along. I love this, man. And boys, I appreciate y'all hopping on, man. We'll do another podcast very soon, but I will be making a graphic for this and putting it on socials. And then we'll be adjusting accordingly, guys. So, boys, thank you guys so much for tuning in, man. Everybody at home watching, this was a banger podcast. Everybody loved it. I'm really excited to see, where it goes, man. But thank you guys so much. Everybody at home, I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. I'll catch you guys in the next Pullze Check, baby. Peace, peace, peace.